Good afternoon, folks. We're going to be doing an afternoon show. As you can see, titled in the video, we have the documents now. America Declassified. President Trump is suggesting that everything in his house, at his home in Mar-a-Lago, at his highly upscale, for lack of a better phrase, highly upscale resort home in Florida, all of those documents were supposedly declassified if you take the word of the former president. But we're going to be talking about that. Starting out with, is it possible that he he even have the right to declassify those documents? Being commander-in-chief, you'd assume he would. But if he were to declassify those documents, could he do that in absolute secrecy? Are there other folks from his administration, from the White House, from the higher levels of American government that could verify, yeah, he did declassify those documents? That's what we're going to be talking about. I see Cheesy Vernix in the comments said Donald Trump stole nuclear secrets. And we're going to go into that from the reference point of why would a president of the United States leaving office decide to steal, tough language, very tough language, why would he steal nuclear secrets? What would be the intention of that? Surely President Trump is not going to be in a basement processing uranium. So why would he steal nuclear secrets? Now, keep in mind, the Merrick Garlick side of the aisle, they're talking espionage. These are serious charges, folks. Espionage from a former commander-in-chief. Remember the device they had on the lawn at the Capitol building for Mike Pence? Anyway, the box is open. We're going to go straight to that. Let's go straight to why would he have this information in his home? Was it a mere oversight? Did he declassify it? Mark Time, what's on your mind?
Hello, sir. It's good to talk to
you. Say.
I'm kind of interested in this from the sense of I don't think it matters whether he declassified them or not. Those are not the charges on the document. The charges are for obstruction of justice and espionage. So I actually don't think it matters whether he wants to retroactively and say, no, I didn't, like, teacher, I left my homework in my backpack. I didn't know it was in there. And, the homework's declassified. Like, the assignment didn't even count for anything. Don't worry about it.
Okay, but wait. That's besides now, let's go after the elephant in the room. Espionage.
Yes, sir.
Give me the links that you believe would make him a candidate for literally spying on his own country.
Yeah.
What do you think they're using for that?
Yes, sir. It's actually kind of what the person above you said, that Trump stole nuclear secrets. I actually don't think it's as big of a deal if a president, quote unquote, steals. I know you said that was a harsh word. Nuclear secrets, like, he has them, he knows them all. He's been handed these pieces of paper. Every time a president reads a document with information on it, there's a stamp that says the president has seen. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. So
yeah. It's a memo. It's officially stamped. It says, like, the president has seen this information, and that's a legal, trail for these things. I don't think the word should be steal. I think the word should be sold. So the president sold nuclear secrets, and that's what we're talking about. We don't know yet. Maybe he never did, but there's no reason for him to have that information. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I could point to, like, why did his son-in-law get $2 billion from Saudi Arabia? That could be an interesting link that maybe we can draw in our heads. That's not too far-fetched. Of who would these things be useful for? We need to know what information was on those documents, and even if we didn't, it does matter, because he can retroactively go backwards and say whatever he wants. But I think everyone gets a sense that he is reactionary in this sense. And, MAGA World and Fox are all trying to sort of cling on to, like, how can we spin this? How can we, it definitely feels like they're on the back foot on this one. And so I think they're just kind of,
let me ask you from your own humble opinion. Do you believe that once again we might be looking at a nothing burger, or do you believe that we could be absolutely dealing with a former commander-in-chief that has used our nuclear program for nefarious activities? I mean, this sounds horrible. Do you think they actually could be this bad?
Um, I did not. I did not. I think you and I were both very skeptical that you and I would ever see Donald Trump in handcuffs. I
Right.
think I think 2 weeks ago we would have been like, I think you and I even had this discussion about how it's going to be like Al Capone, right? It'll be for like some real estate fraud. It'll be for some tax
Yeah.
fraud stuff. It'll be like
Yeah.
him flipping his buildings, lying and say they're worth more, selling them, or like lying and saying this building isn't worth a lot, and then buying it for low value, and then 2 years later flipping it for like $200 million more. Like that's just straight up tax fraud and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You get sloppy every once in a while, and I actually think this was the sloppy thing because he knew he had it. He could have declassified it any day, but he's Donald Trump. And I think being Donald Trump and who
Well,
he is
but
finally caught up with him.
yeah, but it goes further than he knew he had it and he knew he could have classified it. According to Merrick Garland, they knew he had it. It was trying to peacefully get it from him, and he was not handing it over. According to Merrick Garland, they have been
That's
discussing
correct.
this stuff, and he
Yeah.
wasn't. So it sounds like he was literally trying to hang on to this stuff for dear life. And the question is, why?
Yeah, that's what gets to me. It doesn't make sense of why he held on to it because Nara requested it back like in March, like months ago. Like he had an opportunity to voluntarily hand this stuff back over, and that's what I'm like. I don't understand why, because if it's one of those things, it's like you have it, they know you have it, and they know you have it, and so like it's really
Yeah.
getting to me, and that's why I'm like, I really think that Trump, like just being Trump, finally caught up with the man.
So, how would you view? I always read the comments. DJT 45-1, which is basically Donald Trump Jr. one or Donald Trump one. He stated in the comments that President Trump declassified everything before he left office. What if that is the case? How is it that the Department of Justice, the highest levels of our government, did not know that? Are we to assume they all were just lying? I mean, how do you view that comment, Mark? That Trump actually
Yeah,
had declassified all this stuff?
I know why he said that. It's because Kash Patel and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Tulsi Gabbard said it.
Locker room talk. In other words, they handed him an out.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the that you're looking to like Lindsey Graham's tweets, you're looking to Ted Cruz's tweets, you're looking to Ben Shapiro's tweets. Like there's always this quiet that happens right when some news comes out, and there's like, oh,
Right.
MAGA world is like eerily quiet right now, and it's because they're all trying to figure out what are we going to do to spin this, what's our way to attack this, what is our base going to believe.
Okay. I want to have you see some behind me on my monitor. I have the
Yeah,
color
the
code.
hierarchy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
actually just talked to a
hierarchy of
Navy friend
how
about this. Yeah.
right of how documents are classified.
Yeah.
It starts from pretty much unclassified in green at the bottom, all the way to top secret SCI, which SCI designation means that it could pose a grave danger to the United States, so secretive that it should only be viewed in a secure environment. He had documents in the yellow rating. And for folks to suggest that all of this stuff was declassified, if you have documents that are so sensitive, they can only be viewed in a secure environment. You have to wonder what was on that document. And second of all, can it be declassified down to the point where you could just have it in your home? Because that's what we're dealing with here. Does that make sense at all?
Absolutely, it does. I'm right with you. Two things real quick. I spoke with a friend who served in the Navy from 2008 to 2018 about this, and I said, what's the we have a little like groomsmen chat. We're all 7 of my groomsmen, and we just kind of BS about news. And so I was like, Logan, give us the rundown of these different clearances. And he said it doesn't even matter if it's on this list. If it's a government document, it's called FOUO, or for official use only. And he said if I walked out of a base, or if I there was an accident where they misplaced some documents, and they almost had his head for it. And we're talking about like nothing burgers, like in the Navy, like from on one ship. He's just some idiot like engineer on one ship.
Right.
Like, and he said even FOUO documents will land you, kicked out or in Leavenworth or something. Like it's this. So they're not messing around. And the thing I was going to say earlier is with the like Merrick Garland is not going to. It's the whole like if you come for the king, you best not miss kind of thing. Like he's not going to put his reputation on the line. He like the only reason this raid is happening is because they knew it was there. They knew where to get it. They knew what they were coming out with, and they knew how important it was. And no one, whether they're on the left or the right or however high they up, knows what's on those documents except for the DOJ and the Trump administration. And
so, I mean, there are rumors floating around, and just like you, I tend to have a hard time digesting the idea of Trump ever being in handcuffs. But there are rumors floating around that they may arrest him as soon as next week. Do you believe there's any validity to that?
No, I don't think so. I think this is going to be it's going to be a march. You know, I think stuff is definitely happening. I don't think it's going to be him. I think you're going to see like lieutenants get scooped up. I think you're going to see like Mark Meadows get scooped up first. All of those sorts of things. No, they're going to the way that like RICO style, and this isn't RICO, but the way that works is it's like a closing circle. You know, it's like you work your way down the layers of the onion.
Yeah.
And so he won't be.
Well,
he won't be first.
I have one other question that it's going to be on the minds of a lot of folks, and I'm certain it's on the minds of the Merrick Garland side of things, because we know President Trump himself did not carry 14, 15, 25 boxes of confidential material to his house. So the elephant in the room when it comes to questions is who actually helped him obtain this stuff, because he didn't do it alone. So he had to have some help getting this confidential material to his home. And then you have to wonder whoever delivered this, because it clearly wasn't carried by U-Haul or FedEx. Whoever delivered this, how did they check out such sensitive material? There has to be a co-conspirator in this. Am I correct?
I mean, it is kind of, I just always think of it as like, I think that's why Mark Meadows is kind of like the premium fall guy, right? Is because he's chief of staff, right? Like Trump's not going to say that he did it. Trump never does anything. He doesn't send texts. He doesn't email, you know, he doesn't do voicemail. Like he keeps his record clean, which I would think conservatives would find more suspicious. But anyway, he does not send stuff in writing, you know. So Mark Meadows is a prime fall guy. I'm sure he's going to say like aides or lawyers, but I mean, I got a news alert a couple hours ago about the Trump's lawyers. The two that represent him most often are signed off that said that there were no documents or still remaining with the Trump administration.
Well,
like
of course,
June 3rd.
We don't expect him to. We don't expect his own attorneys to be like, he's still hiding some shit. Of course not. They're going to say that.
But I mean, if you sign it, man, like his lawyers, his counsel signing a sheet that says we no longer have any records is pretty damning. Yeah, it's really he again just like shooting himself in the foot over and over.
Yeah. Right, fair enough. You know what the crazy thing is? Despite President Trump having the moniker Teflon Don, he sure is. And even if he takes this on the chin and survives this as well, he sure is taking a lot of his friends, associates, and administration down, because they are not surviving this. How many folks have either done jail time, been indicted, like really Rudolph Giuliani losing their whole fortune, had their reputation? He's taking a lot of folks down. So he might be Teflon Don, but he has the opposite touch of Midas. Whatever he touches does not turn to gold. It turns to fecal matter. Mark, I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word.
Thanks so much, my friend. I would just say, like, I know you're the kind of the theme of today is like Trump declassified or whatever. I really would like encourage, like, as your guests come on, of like the declassification feels like a Fox talking point. It's they want to pivot to, oh, they're declassified, it's not a big deal. They're trying to throw water on it. Like, the charges are not for the declassification. The charges are for espionage and for obstruction of justice. And so the declassification thing kind of does not matter to me. I think we need to stop letting the outrage machine on the right dictate the terms of engagement, like Democrats or the left or people who are just like against Donald Trump and are like coalition of like sane people over here. That includes like some of the right, some libertarians, the left and the far left. The like pro-democracy coalition needs to stop letting people like just like responding to everything Fox says as if it's like super legitimate, because we know what they're trying to do, which is pivot.
Well, even Fox, when it comes to Tucker Carlson, even Fox admitted that it's not super legitimate. Appreciate having you on, though, Mark. Catch you on the next one. Absolutely. Good. And I'm going to go straight back to the box, but that is what we're talking about here, folks. You're talking about, whether this guy, President Trump, the 45th president of this country, whether the commander-in-chief is guilty of espionage. Now, your humble correspondent, you heard my last caller, we don't believe that President Trump will ever see the likes of an orange jumpsuit. But we have to discuss it because those are the rumors that are orbiting around. Now, there's been a hell of a lot of rumors in regards to President Trump that have turned out not to be true. Mueller was going to arrest him. The second impeachment was going to succeed and have him removed from office. He was going to be held accountable for January 6th. None of that has currently come to fruition. So it should not surprise you that folks who favor Trump, or folks like myself who try to analyze him with a fair-minded point of view, tend to be suspect when anyone suggests that he's going to actually be held accountable. He's really good at surviving things. Now, make no mistake about it, in addition to what Merrick Garland is putting on his plate, the January 6th hearings will continue in September. He still has a case in New York. He still has a case in Georgia. And if I'm correct, there may be something floating around in Arizona. He may dodge all of these bullets, but make no mistake about it, those projectiles have been fired at him. Going back to the box, and I see someone said, we just do not know anything yet. That is true. No, that's what we're here for. Lars, good afternoon. Show the affidavit. All of that will come out, Thomas. Lars, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. We're just trying to find out, are we really looking at the spy who put America first? I don't know when it comes to the information, I'm looking at CNN right now, may cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. That's the type of documents President Trump had in his possession. Top secret documents may cause exceptionally grave consequences to this country. How do you view that?
I think maybe sounds like a conspiracy theorist if I say maybe he had them for selling information.
To who?
For other countries.
So that's the definition of espionage. What would be the end goal? To defect from the United States? Maybe go Eric Snowden? What would be the end goal to do something like that? Because if you sell our secrets to another government, that's literally the highest crime you probably could commit as president of the United States.
Sounds incredible if he did that, but if he had them, maybe he had a motive to do it.
So everyone in the comment, their answer is unanimous. They're all suggesting that he would do it for money. He's 75 years old with over $1 billion in the bank. How much money do you need at this point? At this point, his grandkids are not going to go broke. Why would you do something so risque for money that you can't do nothing with? Do you think money could be at the behest of this?
No, it's for rich people. Enough is never enough.
Yeah, well, I think this would certainly qualify if you would throw your entire legacy, and to some degree, maybe even your life away in pursuit of money. Not to mention you destroy all your kids' reputation. Everything with the name Trump on it will be destroyed. Why would you, for money that you can't do nothing with?
I think he tried to keep the power in a form in his way, but he lost his mind just to keep trying to keep his power.
I got a lot of folks on the right, my beloved MAGA audience. I make it clear, you guys are preferred. I haven't seen any MAGA in the box yet, but MAGA is always preferred. MAGA is suggesting that this has to be an FBI setup I saw somebody said a Pelosi job. Is there any possibility that you would see maybe folks hated Trump so much that they actually, like planting drugs on a guy who keeps getting away with crimes? Is there any possibility you could ever see somebody planning this on him to make him look guilty?
Oh man, that would be really, really difficult to if you think about classified stuff on
Yeah.
him. It would be really, really difficult. And drugs are easy.
Yeah. Yeah, you make a good point that if someone were to plant this on him, how did they get access to information that is this highly sensitive? So that would definitely limit it down to a very, very few select group. And obviously Trump himself being president would be in the list of people that would even have access to it. So it kind of makes it difficult to believe anybody can plan it. But I have to throw that out there because folks are suggesting it.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. If you try to do something like that just to frame him, it's one of the most difficult papers you have in your hand. They got on you.
Yeah. I can't see the framing. I can't see the framing of it. Is this making news over there at all?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Uh,
And you're in Greenland, so I'm just wondering, I mean, with you being in Greenland, I mean, so this is making world news as of, because this is obviously a new charge. This has nothing to do with January 6th. This has nothing to do with the impeachment. This has nothing to do with tax evasion in New York or voter fraud in Georgia. This is a whole new set of events on this guy.
yeah,
So
this is
I
a
don't see
whole
where
new
it
level.
is.
Yeah, this is a whole new level of, dare I say, corruption.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. But Lars, listen, I'm moving it on rather quickly, so I gotta go on to the
Yeah,
box and keep it going. But as usual, sir, I always appreciate talking to you.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm now about to cook for my son.
Enjoy. Have a good evening over there. All right, going real quick. Go Trump, drain the swamp. Catch Express. We've had 4 years of Trump. What letter grade would you give the guy in terms of draining the swamp? After 4 years of President Trump in office, he came to power, came down the escalator in 2015, suggesting that everything was rigged, the election was rigged, and he was going to drain the swamp. Here we go, 2022. How many of those swamp creatures that existed in 2015 before Trump got elected are no longer with us? What letter grade would you give him specifically in regards to draining the swamp? Not talking about the economy. The economy was good under Trump. Not talking about inflation or gas prices. That stuff was good under President Trump. But what about the swamp being drained? Do you think in his first 4 years he did a good job in draining the swamp? Because the January 6th hearings were loaded with people that you guys, my MAGA audience, saying that these were rhinos, treasonous, and traitors. People that he personally appointed to office. How did he do in regards to draining the swamp? Let's move it on. User 451. He filled the swamp, says Mary Tang. Wow. Oh my God. I see a lot of F's coming in. I'm curious to know if those F's are coming from MAGA or DIM. User, good afternoon to you.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you think about Trump's claim of draining the swamp? You think he did a good job on that?
I think he did a good start.
What do you mean? What's a start?
I don't think we'll really find out the effects of that until after the election.
Okay, he's had 4 years in office already, and you can't give a clear-cut picture of what he did in terms of draining the swamp.
Well, I'm saying, like, it's taken a while. Okay, you got to think. Okay, Donald Trump is not the government. Okay, Donald Trump is the president. So it's basically been Donald Trump against the government. Okay, so the Democrats won everything this time because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened, smear campaigns and everything on both sides. But the election happened. People didn't vote, in my book. A lot of people did not vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah, but okay.
The thing is,
Let
hold
me
up, but now we see how everything has turned out. It's like it's gonna be like you got out in Wyoming. You got what's her name? She's
Liz
on the
Cheney.
Liz Cheney. Like she's on commercials. She got her daddy out there making commercials now for her, saying run for my, vote for my daughter.
Yeah, but
Stuff. Like who needs their daddy? Come on, you're an elected grown
okay,
ass woman.
I get your spill on Liz Cheney. I'm not here to defend Cheney, but I'm
No,
still
I'm
trying
just
to
saying
find out if
the
he
people that
promised to drain a swamp. Do you know of any swamp creatures that ultimately got drained after 4 years in office? If he wins again in 2024, keep in mind half of his entire time as president that he could serve is already done. You don't have any. Can you name some swamp creatures that got drained because of President Trump?
Comey's one of them.
Okay. All right. If you think of, I mean, because he promised to drain the swamp, and we're talking 4 years, and it does seem like there are very few creatures, so to speak, that have been drained. But I get you saying Combs. But the way you guys view the FBI, when I say you guys, obviously MAGA, not a problem. But you guys view the FBI as loaded with swamp creatures at this point. So it doesn't seem like you have benefited much by draining Comey because now you're accusing the FBI of trying to frame the president.
Well, if you want to know the truth about me, I'm actually a registered Democrat.
Oh, okay.
But
So
I
what do
haven't
you think
leaned.
about what's going on now? You
I
think
just haven't leaned that way in a while, and I'm just the type of person I ain't worried about running down there and change my thing on the page. I'm just not worried about it. I'll vote how I want that time comes. But I'm not really
did
a
you
major
support Trump?
Trumpster. I'm just not really a major Trumpster. I just am against a lot of the things the Democrats want to do. Like they just passed this spending bill and stuff. Like if anybody think that's going to change the inflation, like they got a serious problem in my book. The stuff
Let
that's
me
on
ask you
there.
this. Okay, let me ask you this. In regards to Roe versus Wade being rolled back, how did you feel about that?
I feel like it should have went to the states.
Okay, in regards to them strengthening Second Amendment rights recently, the Supreme Court also did that. How do you feel about the Supreme Court to the point where even in New York you can carry a gun all around the city? How do you feel about that?
I just feel like it's in our 2A. It says,
Okay.
shall not infringe. To me, they're
All
like,
right.
even having any kind of rules or laws or regulations is against the Constitution because it says shall not be infringed. To me, that
Okay.
means you shall do nothing.
I get your point. And how do you feel about President Biden passing this really large energy bill, one of the biggest climate change bills it is the biggest climate change bill in American history. How do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
I feel it's a waste of our money. I kind of feel like it's a theft of the people because I'll explain to you something real quick. I'll try to be real quick. But if you haven't heard or haven't looked up, but you're at the end of your fifth ice age. Okay? So to me, this is a natural cycle, Mother Earth. She's kind of telling you, my body, my choice. This is how it goes,
Okay.
And it's like
you said you're a registered Democrat, right?
Yeah.
What makes you think you are? You sound to the right, and there's nothing wrong with being to the right, but all of the I asked you those tenets for a specific reason. Nothing about you. Give me some social tenets from yourself that make you think you're Democrat. You sound as far to the right as can be.
I just said I'm a registered Democrat, but I've been leaning right for the past probably, I don't know. I voted for Obama the first time.
Okay.
Not the
All
second
right. I
time.
just
I
wanted
haven't
to
voted
find
for a
out because if
Democrat
you
since then.
Okay, I just wanted to find out because if you believe what you believe, and there's nothing wrong with you believing that, you certainly are not. I mean, why would you vote for any Democrat if you believe that stuff? Because the Democratic Party looks to pass legislation that goes against everything you stand for. So you're a registered Democrat, but you probably should certainly rethink that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm 48 years old, and I filled my paperwork out to become a Democrat when I was 18 years old. Okay. I was still in high school. I didn't graduate until I was like really close to probably 4 months before I graduated. I turned 19, so I was allowed to vote my senior year in school. Which I voted for Bill Clinton. That was 93. I graduated.
Okay.
You know,
And
I
you said
voted
you
for
voted
Democrat up
for.
until the second time of Barack Obama. I've been voting Republican.
Okay, so you voted for Obama the first time, you said, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you cast that ballot in Kenya?
Huh?
Did you cast that ballot in Kenya?
No, why you say that?
How do you feel about Trump suggesting the guy was born there?
I don't really get into that, man. That's his thing. I mean, you could go either route with that, man. It's just like
Give me both routes. You said you could go either route with that. Give me the two routes you could take. I want to know what highway we're on.
well, I'm just a person that believes anything can happen in this world. Anything. Okay? And that's just I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going with I believe it or don't believe it. I'm not going with either. Because
Okay, so you think
you're
you
talking how old
you
is
might
Barack Obama?
possibly.
How
So in
old is
other words,
Barack
it is
Obama?
a possibility. It is a possibility that you may have voted for a Kenyan, is what you're saying. You don't know.
Might have, I don't know.
Okay.
But like
So
seriously, how let me ask you this, how old's Barack? He's
how
what?
old is he?
Yeah.
He's in his, what is he, early 50s? I don't know his exact age is. Why? What's up?
Okay, well, just think that many years ago, where was our country at, man? You could probably pay anybody off to do anything in this world. Okay?
Okay.
So we don't know. He could be an actual, I mean, his mom's an American, so to me, he is an American, okay? That's just,
Okay.
you say you could be voting for Kenya. No, his mom really is American, so he is American. Just because his
Okay.
dad's from Kenya, don't make him a Kenyan. Or whatever their, thing would be.
So let's fair enough. So what do you think about the possibility that our former president, meaning Trump, committed an act of espionage? You think that they're just barking up the wrong tree, making stuff up, or you think there might be something to this?
Well, I look at it this way. I look at both sides and stuff a lot, and it's like, to me, like, Trump did do a lot of stuff with tweeting and stuff like that, but it seems like this has been a pick and smear campaign since Trump walked down the escalator. Yeah, Trump's made fun of people, but in my book, they made most of them, I'll say, made fun of him first or started their crap first. He came back and defended himself, and everybody's like, like, go out here on the street and talk crap to somebody and see if they're just supposed to walk away. Now they're gonna be like, what you say?
You don't want a president in office that acts like a guy on the street, do you?
It's not about like just acting like how they do on the street. I'm saying it's basically a human nature. If you come at somebody, expect to be come back too. That's human nature. If we say talk crap to Russia, you think they're going to sit there and be like, yo, no, they're going to be like, what? They're two grown ass adults in charge of two countries, big world.
Do you? Okay,
So
here's what I don't.
It's human.
Here's what I don't get. You got Kanye West suggesting that George W. Bush doesn't like black people. You got half of the Republican Party suggesting that Michelle Obama is a man. And I don't even want to get into what you guys say about Nancy Pelosi. Are you suggesting that all of those politicians, Nancy Pelosi should just be attacking MAGA back because you mess with her? Is that what you're telling me? That because you guys say a lot of negative things about Nancy Pelosi. You're telling me she should attack you guys back?
She does all the time. Like, she says crazy shit all the time. She talks. You just said you guys, and it's like, okay, that to me is like saying, okay, I got a crew of 10 people here. I got 2 of them that are lazy and won't work hard. So, am I gonna walk out to the whole crew and say you guys are lazy, man? No. I'm gonna pull you aside. You're individuals. Like, everybody keeps grouping each side into a group. They're individual peoples. Out of 100% of the people that are Republican or Democrat, you probably got like 60 or so, 70% of them that aren't thinking like the other 20, or that are thinking like this, and the other 10 that are thinking like this. We all have different variants of our wants and needs and respects, okay? And that's on both sides. And to me, it's like all I hear, the problem with all these conversations is people get lumped into one barrel. When there's 50 barrels there, you're trying to stuff all the 50
That's the American, but that's, I mean, I agree with you. However, that's the American way. When Trump starts talking about liberal cities, don't you see grouping in that? Isn't that exactly what you're talking about? Red cities and blue states? And when he said stuff like that, isn't that exactly what you're talking about?
What do you mean? Like how they look or how they are or what?
No. Well, if I say, for instance, red cities, something negative about red cities, that obviously everybody in that city does not fit what I'm talking about, but yet
No,
I'm
no,
doing
no,
it anyway.
not at all.
I'm asking you, isn't he doing exactly what you're talking about that you don't agree with?
Well, I don't agree with either side doing it.
Okay. I just
And
wanted to
that's
make
what I'm
sure
saying.
you.
That's what I'm saying. That's what is causing a lot of the problems because people can't stop and say, like you're talking to me. You're talking to me as an individual, and it's like every once in a while I hear you say you guys, and it's like it's not you guys because I don't think like everybody else does here. You could almost place me in the middle, like an independent, but you
Okay.
know I'm just not really here lately been for what the Democrats want. The spending, the all the other stuff, like taking from the rich, more from the rich and stuff like that. Like that, they deserve to give more to everybody else. Like, no, they don't. Them guys work 20 hours a day. That thought process came from their mind. That creation, that idea came from their mind.
You
This
you
is
believe that
America.
everybody who's wealthy got their money by hard work and creating their own individual unique
Not
thoughts
all
and
of them,
okay. All
but
right.
I'm
I just
saying
wanted to find out where you
where
were on
but
that.
but where
Okay.
you would get the majority of money from if you did tax the rich are the ones that did create their stuff. Elon Musk, well, he didn't create all of it, but he perfected the stuff, but
So
you got
so
Bill Gates. Bill Gates created his software, so with
do
maybe the help
you
of a partner, but they
do
created that
you
stuff. Those are the
believe
ones that would pay the most.
okay. I get you. I get your point about rewarding innovation and hard work. But in regards to being wealthy in general, do you believe our system, our tax structure, our laws treat the folks at the bottom with the same amount of fairness and equality as the people at the top? Do you, other than creation and innovation, what you're talking about, just simply whether you're wealthy or
No,
poor, do you believe our system is fair?
No, because it seems like they're almost like the politicians. Like they do something wrong that we do, they're probably getting a slap on the hand, a large fine that they can afford to pay or something. Yeah, us out here, we do the stuff they do. We're going to jail for 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe have to pay a $5,000 or $150,000 fine that we'll never come up with the money for. Yeah, they do
Right.
get treated differently. Yeah,
That's
I'm
why
not going to
people
lie.
want to, and that's
I
why
mean,
people want
I
to
mean,
tax them.
I
That's why
mean,
people want to tax them is because they're getting unfair advantages. You're admitting that they get treated better. That's why people want them taxed.
I don't think they need to be taxed. That's not going to teach them to be better.
Okay. I don't
Maybe
think anything's going to teach them to. Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm just
start
simply
taking
saying that
large
that is
amounts of
why.
their money.
All right.
Start taking
Okay.
from large amounts of their money for fines. But I think if you do that, it should go to the area they live in.
Okay. I don't know where to go with that. But listen, I got to move the program on, user. I appreciate you coming through. You're welcome back anytime, man. All right. The point just slapped him. Theron, I see I'll go right back to the box real quick in the comments. It means they should pay for their freedom to do so. And by the way, when they talk about increasing taxes on the wealthy, one thing that always surprises me is that the primary defense for not taxing the wealthy generally comes from the poorest among us. You have folks making $40,000 a year and less defending folks making 400 million. I just never could understand it. You don't see the wealthy, the ultra wealthy, trying to defend a minimum wage worker. They're telling you you don't even deserve an increase in your minimum wage paycheck. But here you got folks at the bottom. I don't think you should tax them anymore. Well, where do you think the money is coming from if they don't tax them? It's coming from you. Moving on in the box. TikToker. Let's make it. Talking about President Trump, the spy who potentially put America first. What do you say? My name is Bond, James Bond. My name is Trump, President Trump. Are we looking at a spy because that's what they're talking about. TikToker, what are we dealing with here?
Well, first of all, I just want to point out that Russian media is reporting that they've been reviewing the documents that they pulled out of Trump's house for a long time now.
Are you serious or are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm dead serious. They're saying that they've been reviewing the documents in Moscow for quite a long time now.
Are they saying they've been reviewing them because they had them before Trump took them home, or
they're basically saying Trump is a Russian spy.
Shit.
Now we can't necessarily believe everything that comes out of Moscow, but
yes, we can if they can show us maybe the top secret seal on the top of the document or something. They can make it so we can choose whether to believe them or not.
Yeah, of course they can. Of course they can. I'm just saying we can't necessally believe the initial reports.
Okay,
we have to do more investigating.
Everybody in the comments, all of my viewers are wanted to know your source. Where did you hear this from?
I actually have access to the Russian news network. I have a regular satellite dish, and I get about 1,000 channels from around the world.
Okay, and it's got to be something that we all can look at, though. It can't be something that just you have, because obviously what you're throwing out right now is going to be held to the highest levels of suspicion.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just simply stating that that's what they're reporting on Russian media.
I get what you're saying, but my rebuttal to you is nobody's going to believe you unless you can make it so that they can see it for themselves. They're not going to believe that.
And I understand that, and I will try to post a video about it later, but I'm kind of in the middle of something at the moment. But the other thing I wanted to state is to anyone who thinks that the FBI is trying to frame Trump, the current FBI director was appointed by Trump.
They don't care if it was his daughter. They would say the daughter is compromised. Remember when Ivana said that she believed Trump had lost the election? They just started saying, well, shit, she don't know nothing about elections. Not to, obviously with her having a White House job, nobody questioned why the hell is she in the White House position if she don't know about elections. They just threw his own daughter under the bus. So what you're saying, even if it's true, they just throw the person under the bus.
Well, the fact that Trump had family members with jobs in the White House is an issue anyway. Your family shouldn't be working in the White House.
Yeah, it's narcissistic nepotism. I get it, but they were there. But I need to get access to that Russian shit you're talking about. I need to see that. If you can, my email address is on my or if you can guide me, is there anywhere online? Is there any news source, CNN, MSN, I don't care how far left it is. Is there any? I
haven't seen anything in the United States reporting it yet. I just seen it on Russian media, but I'm sure if you Google Russian media, you can find the video.
Well, there's RT, the station RT, which is Russian television. Do you understand Russian or something?
No, the report was in both Russian and English.
Okay, so you got
they had captions going across the bottom of the screen in English as to what they were saying.
I mean, now obviously Russia has a vested interest in making us look as horrible as possible. So
yeah, that's why I said you can't necessarily believe it's true. But if they can prove it's true, then I would say that Trump has to go down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're obviously on step 1, and Trump going down is on step 100. But what you're saying, if there is validity to it, certainly would open a bunch of eyes. But if Russia is saying they have this information, yeah, they're going to have to prove it. And the easiest way to do that is to just send a picture of the documents. If they're reviewing it, or better yet, recite the information on it. All they got to do is give out a serial number, a code, or whatever the hell's on those documents. Dates, names, equipment, nuclear programs. There are plenty of keywords they can read off of that document to alert America that now,
for sure,
even if Russia even if Russia releases a picture of the actual documents, that's not going to appear on American television because it's still highly classified. But they could read off that some of the information on that would alert the Pentagon. Yeah,
Me too. I kind of think we're going to end up somehow with, I don't know if he actually gets convicted of a crime, but I think we're going to end up with some sort of statute that Trump can't run again somehow. I don't know
That's the
how.
goal from. Well, some have suggested that was a goal from all of this from day one, is to stop this. They're doing it all to him. My MAGA audience, the only reason they're doing this stuff to Trump is because they don't want him to run again. That's what they've been saying since day one.
Well, if we're being completely honest, I don't think he can win again anyway. I really don't even think he's going to get the nomination. I think it's going to be DeSantis.
Do you realize the poll numbers from, at least from CPAC a couple months ago? I think it's about 80% of Republicans want Trump. DeSantis is in second place, but it's a distant second. If they had the election today, I still think that for the Republican nomination, Trump is ahead of DeSantis. Now, let me ask you this question. I did a video on this the other day. Do you think what's going on right now with Republicans, not liberals, not independents, but with Republicans, do you think this constant legal pursuit of Trump is hurting his chances for 2024 or helping him?
I kind of think it's in the middle, because I think that if he actually gets charged with something, at that point, a lot of his loyal supporters will turn on him.
He's been charged. He's been impeached twice, and they didn't turn on him. I mean, Jay, you were. Go ahead.
That's well. I guess that goes back to him stating him loving the poorly educated, because you would think at some point, if you're a thorough Trump supporter, something somewhere would make you see through this guy. I mean, obviously, I'm not a Trump supporter.
Right.
I'm a Democrat. I voted for Republicans in my life, but after Trump, I don't think I'd ever vote for a Republican for president again.
Well, don't let the one man, because Liz Cheney is a Republican and she's nothing like Trump. So is Mitt Romney. Don't let one guy, and I'm telling you this even from a liberal side of the aisle, don't let one guy destroy it. If that was the case, I would never vote based on what Senator John Edwards did a couple elections ago. I would probably never vote for a Democrat again if I held the entire party to the standard of one man. So I'm just simply saying, don't hold an entire party to. And by the way, Trump is not a Republican, by the way. Just like Bernie Sanders was not a Democrat, he's running just to get access to the campaign funds. He's not a Republican. If you look at the values and traditions of Trump, being divorced 4 times, how often does he go to church? He is on record saying he identifies as a Democrat. He's not a Republican. Out of all of the folks claiming that all of these Republicans are rhinos that don't support Trump, in reality, Trump is the rhino. He's the one that's Republican in name only, and he's trying to change the party to the MAGA party, and anyone that doesn't agree with that are being called rhinos, when in reality, he is the rhino. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I know. He was a liberal his entire life.
Yeah. He's trying to create his own party, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But he is not a Republican. I don't get it. I'll give you the last word. I got to move it on.
I think the 2-party system is part of what's wrong with this country. I think we've needed 2 or 3 more parties for a long time.
Got to get money out of politics for that to happen. Appreciate you coming through, TikToker.
You too. Have a good day.
Pleasure. All right. You don't get it. What would that say? I love the comments coming in. By the way, folks, when you come in the box, as I always make it clear, you don't have to hold any punches. You think I'm going to hell? Tell me I'm going to hell. I invite civil discourse. That's fine. State your point. I'm not worried about a civil war, but I'm sure there will be an uprising. Luis Gutierrez. How many folks in the audience believe that we could be heading down a path of some serious civil disturbance? If Trump is ultimately detained, held, I don't see the guy in an orange jumpsuit. But if he is arrested, how many of you folks believe that we could actually have a civil war behind one man, behind the fate of one man? I don't know where to go with that. Handsome liberals out to the people. You can like someone doesn't mean they should be the president. I agree with that. I certainly agree with that. I've heard people say that this country is not ready for a woman president. And it came from women. I've seen women suggest that. I like her. I like Hillary Clinton. I like Sarah Palin. But I don't think we're ready for a woman president. That's coming from some women. I've heard some women say that. All right, going back to the box real quick. Robin A. Marks. Good evening. You don't have to like a person, but if he did a good job, he did a good job. Well, it depends on what you're judging to come up with your conclusion that he did a good job, because the division in this country has not been done well. Robin, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, young man. So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
I'm just wondering, are we dealing with the spy who put America first? Is it possible we elected an actual spy to lead this country?
Well, I mean, let's think about that for a moment, because many people have been looking at Hunter Biden and doing his work with many different dealings. So, and we're looking also at a president that has gained money through his family or his family.
We didn't elect Hunter Biden. Yeah. We did not elect Hunter Biden. He's Hunter Biden,
but we did elect Biden into office, not only as a VP who allowed his son to go across seas and make different dealings with Burisma, China, and some other countries, including Russia, and they've all gained money off that. And they've been gaining money off it back in, if you look at some of their family members who have been playing the stock market, have been gaining money off that. We have to look at all that too. So when we look at Trump and these documents that have been over at his Mar-a-Lago home, now I'm pretty sure that I seen a newscast. And I don't really care for Fox News. I really don't care for any of the news stations, but I was looking at the fact that they were already at his house earlier this year. They were there when the DOJ, some of the DOJ was even there when they locked these documents into a room with a padlock. They'd already seen these. They'd actually already taken different stuff back to the White House earlier this year.
All right.
That they didn't believe he needed. Now, as the president, he was able to declassify things, and that's what we're looking at right now. Did he declassify any of these documents before he took these things home while he was still president? That's what we
Okay, they claim some of the documents are so sensitive that if they are seen by folks who do not have a need to know, they could pose a grave harm to the United States. If you declassify something like that, it should be pretty much well known that you did that, right? I mean, like if you want to declassify the bombing of Nagasaki, which obviously would have been huge back in the 1940s. If you want to declassify that, wouldn't they have some stamp? Now, I'm not military, so I'm asking this from a point of ignorance. But wouldn't they have to stamp that or something to make that known, something that is that sensitive that you have declassified? You can't just take something to your house, nobody knows it's declassified, get caught, and then yell out, well, actually, I declassified it, when it's at that level.
And that's where it really confuses a lot of people, too, because if he did declassify it or didn't declassify it, wouldn't they have brought charges back to when they came to his Mar-a-Lago home earlier this year, and they went through these paperwork? Don't you think something would have been done then?
That's a good question, and my response to that would be, according to Merrick Garland, they were trying to peacefully work with Trump to get the documents back to avoid all of that, and he refused to give it to them. They was trying to, when they did perform the warrant on his home, that was also trying to be done under wraps until Trump came and blurted it out to everybody. But it sounds like they were giving him the common courtesy from being a former president of the United States that you're suggesting, and he just was refusing to cooperate with them.
Yeah, and which a lot of it doesn't make sense because they said they went to his house already and got boxes back. So why didn't they take it all then? And why would they allow him to put it into a room and lock it behind a lock?
Well, if they went to his house earlier, like you're stating, and asking why didn't they take it all then, is because when they went to his house the first time, it was not under a search warrant. So they would have went to his house and said, "Give me what you got." He handed him what he had. That's why they didn't take it all. He didn't come forward with it all, and they
But they
knew he had more. And let me, we're still on the same topic, but what about the idea that maybe Secret Service agents or someone else working in his house discovered the documents and reported it?
Now that could be a very good point there too. I'm not 100% with Trump. I never have been. I can't stand the way he speaks to the country. Honestly, I can't stand the way he speaks. I don't like his tweets, but I don't get my feelings hurt over it either. I'm just like, oh, that's just a moron this morning. The only reason I even liked Trump was for his business dealings. He treated our country like a business, and in that aspect, he was doing a really decent job, but he just didn't know how to shut up.
Is it possible he treated our classified documents like a business dealing?
I'm starting to wonder that too now with everything going on. Now, the young man before me brought up that Russia had done whatever, said on TV that they had idea of this classified documents.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Now,
that's an interest. I haven't heard that.
now I thought about that for a minute while he said it, and I thought to myself, well, Russia was used once again in a scandal, saying that the Russia inclusion scandal and all that crap, and it
Right.
become untrue. But now, if you were the leader of Russia and you were in a war just here recently, which they are with Ukraine, and you know that you're getting what you want out of the deal already, because it is what it is when it comes to war, and they had their little agreement for the grain and everything else, so we know the war can't be that serious.
Right.
But we've been sending all this money over there, which personally I believe it goes to money laundering more than it goes to funding the war. I believe that's 100%. We were already making deals with Ukraine. Now all of a sudden we're sending them billions and billions of dollars. And can they actually show what they spent this money on? Can they show us the military weapons that they're showing this money? Can they show us the funding they're giving their military for work? You see what I'm saying? All that stuff, we should have documents to that because we're the ones funding it. That's number one. They should be showing their money. However, if you were that leader to Russia and the guy that you don't want in office because he's not going to put up with your BS and he's not going to put up with Ukraine's BS and he's not going to put up with China's BS, would you not want him framed?
I mean, there are reasons, I suppose, to frame any president. I mean, there's always something you want, particularly from the other side. I mean, if you want to frame Biden, I mean, because you don't want him in office. I mean, there's lots of money and lots of policies that you want on the right. There would be reasons to frame any president. So I don't disagree that there are reasons to frame him. I'm just trying to figure out, is somebody at Merrick Garland's level, somebody at Attorney General Jim Barr, are these the kind of people that spend their entire lives to reach a level to frame somebody?
And a lot of the FBI, like we said, they've been doing stuff more on the. I'm starting to wonder if the FBI isn't being ran by the political agenda too. I'm not against. I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying some of the ones on the top.
Yeah. Well, when you stated that his tweets never hurt your feelings and things like that, my response is just like when he says the media doesn't cover him correctly. When you're constantly attacking a group of people, it seems almost unreasonable to expect them to judge you fairly. He continued attacking the media, naming names, George Stephanopoulos, Chuck Todd, calling people out, saying they're horrible, they're enemies of the state. And now he's doing the same thing to the FBI. So if you're constantly attacking these agencies, wouldn't it be logical to expect that there are going to be members in these agencies that don't like you?
Yes, very well. There's going to be a lot of people that don't like you. And the same thing goes.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about not liking you because of your policies or because you're on the wrong side of the aisle. I'm talking about not liking you because you're criticizing them directly.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of people out here that do not like Trump because they've been criticized by him. The same goes for a lot of them that criticized Tim and went after him back in 2015 when he was running for president. A lot of them criticized him. So therefore he came back and he criticized them back.
Well, but here's the difference, though. Like I mentioned before, Kanye West, the rapper Kanye West, suggesting George Bush didn't like black people. You didn't see George Bush go back after Kanye West and Kanye West fans. Trump himself was suggesting that Barack Obama was born in Kenya. You don't see Barack Obama holding rallies constantly talking about Trump. Sometimes you got to let things roll off your back. You don't have to answer to every insult that's thrown your way, particularly if you're commander-in-chief. To be president means there are going to be millions of people in the country from the other side of the aisle that disagrees with you. Getting insulted is par for the course. You can't say, well, everybody that says something negative about me, I'm going to attack them all back while trying to run the country at the same time. Can you not see chaos developing from that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I truly understand. And that's part of the reason why I didn't care for Trump was the way he spoke. I believe that Trump should have never actually been president. I believe he should have been a vice president working the business side of the life with the president. And to be honest with you, back then during the election, I said, I think it would be interesting if they had Hillary Clinton as president because she knew how to speak to the American people, and Donald Trump as vice president because he's just an asshole and he knows how to run a business.
Yep. And that's why he's in Mar-a-Lago right now. Listen, I got to move it on though, Robin. Good talk, man. Anytime you see me on, you're welcome to come back. Appreciate you coming through.
Problem. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Absolutely. I want to, before I go right back to the box, I see a few of you guys are there. We'll certainly continue the program. I want to play something for you real quick. In regards to taking documents home, how does the right feel about it? We understand the left wants President Trump strung from a noose. We get it. But how does the right feel about the president bringing something home, or a high member of society, a high member of our political elite, taking home documents that they should not? I'm going to give you, and I chuckle when I say this, I'm going to give you a montage of how the right behaved and what they suggested when they thought the person taking home documents that they did not have the right to do so was none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton. So I want you to hear this, and you tell me if you actually hear or if you can interpret the difference in mindset from Trump.
The FBI has a duty to we the people to investigate any appearance of impropriety.
Patriotic FBI agents are pushing and trying to do something, but this requires a full, comprehensive investigation.
I don't know what took the FBI so long to try to get it.
She made a choice to leave government with all of these documents as though they were her property.
The clear intent to evade the Federal Records Act, that's mishandling classified information. Why wouldn't the FBI act on that?
I mean, come on. Are we supposed to believe that after over time that she just didn't know what the rules were?
It is a federal crime to negligently handle classified information.
Multiple felonies that we're talking about here.
My verdict, based on the evidence, is guilty.
Now, that was Judge Jeanine Pirro at the end. We all know folks who watch cable news, Judge Jeanine Pirro from Fox News. All of this when they thought it was Hillary Clinton taking home documents that she should not have taken home. Like my first caller suggested, Trump himself did not say those documents were declassified. It appears as if a lot of right-wing supporters said it and he ran with it. Very similar to the phrase locker room talk. Trump was never the one to originally suggest that. It sounded good. He took it and ran with it. Sharon, formation. Got a lot of liberals coming. Welcome. Maggie's preferred.
Hey,
Sharon, formation.
I got a limerick for you. You want to hear it? It's relating to what you just played. There once was a rich Aussie troll who bought himself many a soul, along with a station to spread misinformation by liars like Hannity and Perot. And thank you for playing that little clip, because the right, and can you hear that? Can you hear
Loud
it?
and clear.
It's all the scrambling that the right-wing media is doing to try to deflect and lie about what's going on The most recent lie, which was interesting, Trump's made a statement on Truth Central yesterday saying that Obama took 33 million records away. Then before you knew it, it was being aired on Hannity. He said it. And now all the people...
Brett Baer on Fox News actually corrected that and said that wasn't true.
Good, right. Now here's what they did do. There were some documents, not millions, tens of thousands of documents were indeed sent to Chicago. But here's the kicker. Here's the difference that they won't tell you about, is that they were sent to a federal facility, not Martha's Vineyard. They weren't sent to Obama's home so he could just put it in the corner with his, bike in the garage somewhere. So that's the difference. And I mean, handsome liberal man, I don't know how much more willfully politically ignorant or lazy people can be. I mean, how much longer are they going to be led around by the nose, do you think?
I think as long as it takes. There are some folks who listen, I had a show about a month or two ago, in which I asked, was President Trump the GOAT, the greatest of all time? And you'll be amazed at how many of my MAGA supporters stated, yeah, he is the best president in U.S. history, or either he's the best or he's in the top 5. So how long are they going to hang on? I don't think they're anywhere near letting go.
And it's crazy to me. I mean, I found it very interesting Monday night after he was raided. His supporters were so just can't believe the Democratic hoax and here they are not having any idea why they would be there other than it being a Democratic hoax. And people on the left were thinking, holy crap, which investigation are they doing this for? Like, he's under so many. Like, we were here scrambling trying to figure out what could they possibly be getting. And let me just make it very, very clear. Let me make it really crystal clear for all you Trump supporters out there. You can sit there and say, oh, what he did was fine because he declassified or reclassified or recertified or any of that crap. What he did wrong was he violated the Presidential Records Act by taking them home. That is where he messed up.
But do you think what he did, let's assume he did what you just stated, do you think it was just a mere oversight and didn't know the laws exactly? Or do you believe he may have had nefarious intentions, such as espionage or selling them for money? Do you think he had anything evil I don't even know how to phrase it, but something that was undermining the United States, the safety of this country?
Well, I don't put it past him for the simple reason is that he's already done it twice. All right. He did it in 2017 with the Russians, and he did it in 2019 with Saudi Arabia. Even after, I mean, he traded sensitive nuclear power info with Saudi Arabia after they murdered Jamal Khashoggi. So, I mean, look, Trump left Saudi Arabia off that Muslim ban list for a reason. Jared Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for a reason. So let's kind of figure out why that might be. Why, now that guy that you had on earlier talking about Russia might be have been seeing these documents. I mean, I don't know why it's so far-fetched when Trump's already done it twice before.
I'm not going to say it's far-fetched, but damn, it's something I would love to know more about in detail. And for those who are just joining the program, she's pointing to earlier caller that suggested that Russia on their news media outlets are stating that they have been reviewing the documents that were seized from Mar-a-Lago. In other words, they have gained access from them, apparently through Trump. I'm not here to say I believe that or know anything about it. I'm just saying that is what's orbiting around from a caller that's out here. Man, what do you do if that's valid? If that's valid, what do we do with Trump?
We prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. I mean, look, I don't think that Merrick Garland would have authorized this raid. I don't think that the FBI or the judges would have signed off on it if there wasn't significant evidence to warrant going and getting them. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, most of the people who are defending Trump at this point weren't even aware that he took away boxes of documents from the White House. I mean, they're not even aware that all that stuff has to stay in the presidential archives. Trump may be so dumb that he didn't know it. I don't know. I just know that there's shit that he's done throughout his presidency that is criminal. I mean, there's multiple criminal investigations on him right now, and how people can continue to turn a blind eye to it is beyond me. They're not patriots
So
at all.
let me ask it to you. Let me ask it to you from this angle. Merrick Garland is obviously the Supreme Court appointee coming from Obama that was blocked by Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. What about the notion that Merrick Garland has an axe to grind and is not doing things in the best interest of Trump or being fair because he's so pissed off? Is there any way of looking at it from that angle?
I don't think, even if he did, I don't think that the FBI, which isn't a Trump appointee, by the way, I don't think the FBI or the people involved that would have to carry out the wishes of said Merrick Garland's revenge plot would go along with it. Like, they're not going to risk their careers and their reputations to do that. In my opinion, I don't think that would be a little far-fetched. Now, again, I think that's right-wing conspiracy theory. They're doing everything they can do to spin this narrative so that people either continue to dismiss it. Oh, Obama and Hillary did it too. Well, we'll just, so that way we're not going to pay much attention to Trump. These are the people who haven't, who think the Mueller report showed nothing. It was all a hoax. They haven't been watching this January 6th hearings. So they think their little Trumpy Trump is just a darling and he just loves America. And no, he's a criminal. He's been a criminal his whole damn life. They don't call him Don the Con for a reason, for no reason.
But I get the Don the Con reference, but you got to listen, innocent until proven guilty. I'm not MAGA, obviously, but until he's convicted of something, he's not officially a criminal, right?
No, you're right. He's not. And I think that they are going to Merrick Garland is a very methodical prosecutor. He's the one that convicted Timothy McVeigh. He's never lost a case. I think that he's not he doesn't seem to be politically minded, and I don't think that he would risk his reputation. I mean, look at all the people. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump released that warrant to Breitbart because the FBI, if they were going to release it, they would have redacted the names. The names weren't redacted. So what does that tell you? It tells you that Trump wants people to lash out and seek revenge on his behalf. So if I could just say one more thing, I know I talk a lot, and I'm going to go because I know you got other guests. I want to say one more thing to all you Trump supporters. And if you take nothing away from what I've said during this time I've been on here, take this. Do not find yourself in jail or worse, dead, by going out and losing your shit over something that if Donald Trump gets hauled off in handcuffs, don't wait until you are either dead or in jail to realize that you have been had by him, that he is in fact a criminal and he used you to do his bidding. So please don't. Now
you're obviously referencing the likes of the guy in Cincinnati the other day with the FBI office in Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt is another one. That's strong advice.
All the people in jail all the people that are serving 5-7 year sentences. I mean, like, don't be those people. Figure out, make sure that you know exactly what Trump is being charged with, what he's done, what he's said. Know who you support. That's really all I ask. I don't care if you still decide to support him after you know all this stuff. Makes you a little bit of a deplorable human being and no patriot I want to share America with. But hey, you're entitled to each his own. You're entitled. But don't wreck your life over somebody who does not give 1 ounce of shit about you. And that's all I had to say. I appreciate you having me on, dear. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate you coming through. Very strong advice. Always welcome back. Your opinion is welcome here. All right, moving on. Thanks. Sharon. Take care. All right. For some reason, I'm trying to. Okay. I seen my audience, predominantly being MAGA, did not have a huge amount of tolerance for the comments coming from Sharon. But make no mistake about it. When you come in the box, I'm gonna let you speak. I don't run from any. I don't know how my thing queued up there, but yeah, come on in the box, state your point. I don't have any issue allowing folks to state their point. We get a lot of viewers here who state points where a large portion of the audience disagrees on the right and the left. But like I say here, the only thing that's going to ban you on these broadcasts is TikTok. Your humble correspondent, yours truly, I do not censor comments. I believe everyone should have their say. And that's what we do here. We are already in a political form of civil war mode. JJ, how so? I'm not seeing that, but let me go back to the box. Just another traitor. What does that say? Oh, just a noob for you. Just a noob traitor. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. So, what do you think? You think this is yet another witch hunt, or are they actually on to something valid here with President Trump from an espionage standpoint?
From an espionage standpoint, I don't think there's any merits
Essentially,
to
taking
I don't think
home
there's.
sensitive. Remember, these documents are allegedly so sensitive that they can only be viewed in a secure environment. And this was at his house.
Right. Let me ask you this. Who's the sole arbiter of what is and isn't classified?
President.
Correct.
Yeah. President. But can he do that without telling anyone? Can he just
He can go on
to the White
national
House and
television. He can take the most top secret document in the history of the United States and go on national television and read it aloud to the American people if he wants to do that. And It's not a crime.
All right. Good point.
Am I
so let me
incorrect in
ask you
saying
this.
that?
I do believe you're correct in saying it, but let me ask you this. Is it also possible he could steal documents without telling anyone? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Yep.
So the question I'm asking you is, based on what you said, he could go on national TV, and based on what I said, he could steal documents. Shouldn't he have to do something to let the public know which path he's choosing? Because he has documents in his home and he did not go on national TV like you're suggesting. So he would have to have an avenue to let us know before this stuff appears at his house that he didn't steal it, correct?
I don't know that he has to have an avenue outside of a standing order that anything that he takes to that leaves the Oval Office and goes to a residence or some other facility is declassified. He has the ability to do that if he's the sole arbiter.
Right, but the point I'm trying to make though is if you're talking in regards to nuclear information and things like that. So obviously,
well, I don't think it's important. Let's make a clarification. If he's the sole arbiter, the content is irrelevant, correct?
Yes, I can see that. But I don't think when you're talking about nuclear information, the idea that he's a sole arbiter, I don't think that resonates with that. He's not a nuclear scientist.
Classified, like he's the ultimate. I shouldn't say he's the sole arbiter. There are other individuals that can classify and declassify things, but he is the ultimate arbiter at the point in which he is president, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
So if he's the ultimate arbiter, then the material is irrelevant.
No, I don't agree with that. Let me give you an example. If I hand you information, the president, we're moving a nuclear facility from Montana to a mountain out in Idaho, and here's the information. The information I just gave you on this sheet of paper, you're the sole arbiter for it. It's only for you, but it's classified to the point where we don't want anybody else to have it. If you take that to your home, declassify where that facility is located at. It's now in Idaho. That'll never be declassified.
I understand what you're saying, but here's the logic behind my argument. He is ultimately the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the military, and the executive branch of national security. So he is the one setting the policy. He is the one dictating the terms, what is and what is not going to be viewed as sensitive or not sensitive. And if he dictates that it's no longer sensitive, any president, it doesn't matter if he's a Republican or Democrat, they are the ultimate authority as to the policy in which what we are going to classify or not classify, whether it be through his administration or whether it be through him directly. The ultimate authority comes down to the presidency of the United States. They are the top executive, which all of those branches fall under that executive arm. They work for the president at the leisure of the president, and he's their customer.
Okay, I'm agreeing with you on all of that. The reason why I asked you in the beginning of our conversation in regards to him declassifying information, which he has the ultimate power to do versus instilling it, is that when he's president and when he decides to declassify something, there has to be a path to do that so that we know when we find it in your possession later that you did not steal it.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, so the information found in his
I agree
home,
with you there. I do
right?
agree with you.
So exactly. So the information found in his home, if he did what you said and used his presidential power to declassify it, he should actually have to show proof that he did that and the dates he did that on. They usually stamp it or something of that nature to show that this is now declassified. If he can't prove that he declassified it and when, then it's stolen information. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah, no, I agree that technically it would be
Okay.
considered stolen information.
All right.
And I agree that there is a point at which if it's not declassified, it's taken out of there improperly, then he probably violated some laws. I'm not really super concerned with that. And I don't think history has proven that the Justice Department hasn't been super concerned with that. So like you just played a clip about all these people outraged about Hillary Clinton, and the Justice Department did not pursue that when they had far greater evidence that documents were kept on a home server, destroyed, like literally devices were being smashed with hammers to destroy evidence. And the Justice Department, and now granted, she did not have the authority to declassify that evidence. The president does. And even still, under those circumstances, which would put the president in a far greater place than she wasn't pursued for prosecution. There weren't warrants executed on her home. So it wasn't the same level of scrutiny. And if you look back over history, this is not the first time that this has happened. There have been numerous presidents, many presidents, that have taken home classified documents and that have taken home classified information. And it has never been an issue because we don't live in a banana republic where the previous administration.
Has it been nuclear? Has it been nuclear information it took home?
And again, it goes back to if the president is in fact the arbiter of what is ultimately dictating the policy. But my whole point is, if we look back throughout the history of the United States, this is the first time something like this has happened because it has been U.S. precedent that we don't go after sitting presidents as a political cudgel in the United States when we're either afraid of them running again, we hate them to the core, whatever the case is. Even if there's a valid point, like they were in talks. Now, granted, the talks may have broken down.
Wait a minute.
There are other ways to go about doing this.
Okay, and I agree with you, but what you're suggesting is that we take the precedent that we've taken with presidents in the past as opposed to doing something we've never done in regards to Trump, but you're ignoring the fact that Trump has not even done that himself. I mean, he beat Hillary Clinton, yet he continued talking about locking her up. He continues talking about everybody from generals and senators in his own party, etc. He's always talking about going after people and doing things that we've never done before. But
and
yet,
if
when
you want me to say that Trump is a hothead and says,
but when he is the subject of the same scrutiny, we supposed to give him the common courtesy that he's not giving to others, is what you're saying, right?
Now, had Trump directed his DOJ to go after Hillary Clinton and to go after Obama for whatever reason, I don't care what it is, or any blatantly or what would be perceived as blatantly political hit from the DOJ. I'm not saying that Trump didn't do a lot of shady stuff, and I'm not saying he didn't say a lot of really stupid things. No, I will not defend Trump on a lot of the stupid stuff that he said. I mean, it was more comedy than reality from where I'm sitting. And I was never really a big Trump supporter. I didn't vote for him the first time. I did vote for him the second time only because of some of the things that he actually implemented and that he stood for. Not because of what he said by any stretch of the imagination. I, like a lot of people, had a lot of big issues with the fact that he would never freaking shut his mouth. And he, in my opinion, he's the reason that he's not in office anymore because he couldn't shut his freaking mouth.
100% agree.
So, I just want to say that you being a liberal, I love how you do this, and you're so fair and courteous, and like the fact that people can come on here and talk with you like this and have conversations. This is amazing. Like, I would love to see more of this.
I would hope to be able to deliver it, or I would hope someone else would do it too. My whole spiel is to do it because they don't do it in Washington. Okay, so in other words, as opposed to locking Trump up or prosecuting Trump for taking home documents, since they didn't do it to Hillary Clinton, perhaps do the same thing that Trump did. Just have rallies all over the country, letting people yell, lock them up.
Not even necessarily that. My main concern is, have we set a precedent in this country that has been applied to every other previous president? And if so, what is that precedent?
There is no precedent in regards to anyone or any entity like that, no matter what you personally get charged with.
Well, how can you say that without telling how many previous presidents have taken home classified documents? Secret
nuclear documents? I don't know.
No. Just, do you know how many presidents have taken home classified documents?
No, I don't, because
that's what I mean. How can you say that there's no precedent when you have no idea how many, if any, have even done it? I know, I can tell you for a fact that there have been, but for you to come out here and unanimously say that it's never happened without being able to tell me if.
Well, wait a minute.
Maybe that's disingenuous.
There is a difference between taking home a classified document and taking home documents that are so sensitive that they're marked where they should only be reviewed in a highly protected environment. I mean, it's not just there's plenty of shit out there that's classified, but there are levels of classification. Are we suggesting that the type of documents Trump has taken home, every other president has done that too? I mean, that may be where the difference lies.
Yeah, maybe that is where the difference lies. And to be honest with you, I really don't. I mean, I don't think we've seen the documents. I don't know that we're actually going to see the documents. We've heard speculation on what they may or may not contain. So I think a lot of this is just conjecture at this point, and it's like a lot of hypotheticals. I think we would agree that there is a line that shouldn't be crossed, but I think it's a very fine line when it comes to enforcing the law to the letter of the law with one president or former president, when it hasn't been enforced to the letter of the law with numerous previous presidents. At that point, you get, just for the sole optics of it, you get into the point of looking like a republic where you're then taking the power of the executive branch and using it to beat the other party's executive after they're out of office. That's a very dangerous precedent.
Okay, I got to move the program on, but before I let you go, let me just ask you this one question. You can give me your response to it. If you go to court and you're being charged with something, and you think it's unfair compared to the previous person that did the same crime, and you start cursing out the judge in open court, do you think that's going to make a difference in how you're treated? You just start insulting the judge and everybody in court. Do you think that's going to make a difference?
I think if you were able to bring precedent to the court, it would make a difference. And that's what I'm talking about, is precedent. Courts rely heavily on precedent. And and I think that's a very fair point, that if you were able to bring the court precedent where time and time again these things have happened and the court has made this decision, I think it makes a difference.
All right. Well, we'll see. Appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you.
All right. And that's what I'm trying to make, is that when Hillary Clinton was being accused of taking home documents, destroying servers, et cetera, you never seen Hillary Clinton start criticizing the courts and things like that were investigating. She did not go ballistic like that. My only point I'm trying to make is, whether you have precedent or not, whether you're being treated unfairly or not, going ballistic does not help your case. How many folks, when you see these controversial shootings, these Black Lives Matter related shootings, well, you should have just complied, or why are you talking shit? How many times do you hear folks point out that does not benefit you? Criticizing and insulting authority over you does not work to your benefit. But yet when Trump does it, somehow it seems to be judged a little bit differently. That's all I'm pointing out. Going back to the box real quick, 21 gold coins. Let's see if it's valid, a valid viewer. 21 gold coins. That's a hell of a name. Good evening to you.
Hello, sir. Real quickly, I just want to respond to the young lady earlier who made her little poem.
The Democrats are brain dead. There's so much they don't know, but they sit there and stew like there's nothing they don't know. But here's the big kicker that in the end will leave him all the mayhem. They went into his mansion for one document alone. It's the second Declaration of Independence is the doc they took out. You should look it up because it's about to change your life.
Okay.
When Donald Trump wrote it back in 2020 on the 4th of July, while you were outside at night burning up all your money. He wrote up the document and it's the most top secret of kind. See, had he not done it this way, well, today, we would be folding and running just like Australia.
All right, okay, you got. I can't let it go on too long, man. All right, okay, you got
There's one more paragraph, one more line.
I give you 5 seconds. Go.
Because since
Never mind.
1871.
But
all right, yeah.
Listen,
yeah, I can't have you read a whole
you guys
paragraph.
still don't get it. You still don't get it, man. I thought by now you would have been on board. I came onto your show over a month and a half ago and told you about the floods that were going to be happening in D.C. and in Vegas and what happened today. And you still don't believe me. Listen,
So you're
since
so
1861.
I told you.
No,
I told you when you brought up when you stated that Trump had written a second Declaration of Independence,
Google
and I started asking you, where is the copy of that second Declaration of Independence?
It was in his mansion, obviously. Now that's what they went in for, dude. I got news for you. You know why they're saying it's so top secret? You know why they're saying it's so destructive? Because it literally evicts the Democratic Party from the political system in the United States forever.
Okay, you're telling me when Trump was in office, he wrote a second Declaration of Independence. He didn't leave it around for the people to have access to it. Wait a minute. You got to let me respond to you. He wrote a second Declaration of Independence when he was president. And instead of leaving it so the people could have access to it and know what's on it, he took it to his home. That's what you're telling me.
The law requires it. In order for it to be legal, he had to do it this way. Bro,
so no
do your
one
research.
Else,
know your history.
In a country of 330 million people or more, the law required that the former president keep the Declaration of Independence in his home. That's what you're saying.
He claimed a foreign entity infiltrated our government. In order for him to claim that and make it be legal, he had to do it in top secret form. That's how it is. That's the law. Do your research. If you get and all these people in the chat, Google it. Google it. Don't believe me, but just know this. Just like that lady was just saying a little while ago about how all these Republicans have to be, calm when all shit falls down. Here's what you're gonna find out. Democrats are not allowed to be in the political system.
If you don't have access to the Declaration of Independence because it's in his home, how do you know what's on it?
Because here's the thing. Donald Trump was a U.S. national. He's always been a U.S. national. He's been that since the beginning, okay? But he had to change that because any president who wants to run has to waive their sovereign nationalist right, and they have to go back into the corporate citizenship. That's the only way to run for presidency.
You're not
by doing that, he utilized.
How do you know what's on the document?
He utilized one of the biggest U.S. nationals of publicly known, named David Straight. He put on David Straight to go spread the word about the U.S. nationalism so that it would grow big enough so that when the shit did go down, the Democrats lost all their shit, that at least there'd be enough of a group of us now, because it's gotten much bigger now.
You're not helping me out. You're giving me his resume that you believe. I'm asking you, how do we get to see what's on our own Declaration of Independence? How do we know what's on that?
That's what you're going to find out right now. That's
Why
what you're
don't we
going
know
to. That's
that
what's
already?
going to come out.
Why
of this
don't we know
raid.
that already?
Because he would be dead by now. You have to understand something. Listen, Tim, please hear me out. Let me just say this. This is something that you guys cannot deny because it's true history. Every single president that was ever assassinated while in office was a Republican. There's only one that wasn't, which was JFK. Now, JFK was the most Republican Democrat you could ever find, and he was vocalized his feelings about the CIA. Okay? So he kind of asked for it on his own. Now, hear me out. I'm serious. Do your research.
I
Go
know
Google
you
it.
are.
Every
That's what
single
got me is I
president that
know you're
died was
serious.
Republican, and every time a Democrat took over. What does that tell you? That's 4 times that they murdered a president to be able to get the office. And if you got 4 times 8.
Okay. Look, let me. You're running circles around my head. I want to see our Declaration of Independence. Why can't I do that as a citizen of this country? Why can I not see the second Declaration of Independence?
The best I've ever found, you can find it on Google, first of all, but the best I found, if you want it's the best. I would even play it for your listeners because you know what? You can listen to it. It's David Straight reading it online, but he read it first because why? Why? Because he's a national. I'm telling you the truth. It's just he had to go about it a certain way. That's the thing that people are going to have to understand. But, Tim, if this goes through the way he put it through on the document, he saved this country.
How do you know? You don't
You
know
have
what's
to
on
hear
the
what he did.
document. Wait
You
a
have to
minute.
hear what he said. Go Google the document. Listen to it for
How do
Christ's
you
sake.
know without seeing the actual document? How do you even know what you're Googling is correct?
Because I speak to David Straight myself. I know David Straight.
David Straight didn't write the Independence.
He
Trump
was
did, according to you.
propositioned by Trump to expose it and get it grown big enough because he didn't want the whole Republican Party to be left out of it too. So if you Google David Straight, you can see all the stuff he talks about.
So let me ask you this. Has President Biden, the president of the country, seen our Declaration of Independence?
Let me ask you this before I answer your
You
question.
didn't answer. You did not answer that question.
Because if I answer it the way right now, you're going to think I'm crazy, even more crazy than you think I am already.
I'll take crazy for 200, Alex. Has President Biden seen our Declaration of Independence?
Biden's not our president.
You got 200. Keep going.
He's not our president.
Okay. Then who is? Who is our current commander-in-chief, sir? Hello?
And if you ask any of the branches of the military, the only ones who will not answer you, did it go out?
I asked you who was our current commander-in-chief, and you went silent. Answer that.
It's because my phone rang. I got a phone call, and now it's all checked.
Okay. Go ahead. I got another minute with you, but I want to know who is the current commander-in-chief? You're silent again.
If there was an order given, they would listen to Donald Trump right now.
So according to you, President Trump is still in control of the country.
When have you ever seen the President of the United States catching an Uber?
So let's take your word. If Trump is still in control, by the way, folks, this is good content. Make that 15,000 likes. Tap your damn screen. So listen, my question to you is, if you believe. Wait a minute. I'm trying to go on your side with this. If President Trump is still in control, who's responsible for the hellified inflation in gas prices? If Biden is not the guy, who's responsible for that?
It's not an inflation in price. It's a drop in the dollar.
Who's responsible for that?
The dollar's bound to drop because when he filed that Declaration of Independence, and again, you got to listen to it, he exiled all of the global elite. He exiled all of them and basically blocked them out. And literally, go look on any IRS document online right now. The IRS has a new address. He's moving. The entire government is moving back to Philadelphia.
So
it's already on its way.
Wait a minute. So if Trump is still in charge,
locked up in Washington, D.C.
So if Trump is still in charge of the country, then that means he cannot run in 2024, correct?
Nope. It's not him as president. But because he was the last commander-in-chief, if there was a military order that had to go out, it would be Trump who would have to give it out. But the military is currently running the country, and it was able to without any kind of knowing of anybody because it's been that way since 1865.
Okay.
1861,
where can we find a copy of this military order?
Which one military order?
The one that keeps Trump in power.
Fuck, I'm gonna go look it up, man. Go look it up. Google it. Google it. You got your power fingers?
Okay, I gotta move it on.
Hey, I'm not gonna go there with you no more because I did that already once for you, and you didn't even look at it, not once. You didn't even take no information, but you were back online on your live talking all this nonsense about stuff that's not even true.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming through. Folks, you heard the man. I've been on live talking a bunch of nonsense that is not true. I gave you a strong MAGA supporter. I put him online, and he talked a bunch of stuff that apparently is true. Yours truly, I'm a correspondent. I'm going to go back to talking untrue nonsense. All right, looking in the box, we got Ricky. Oh, Ricky, he's really blows my mind. Hey, Ricky, what's going on?
Let me stop laughing first. Let me let me stop laughing for a minute. All right, okay. You can't teach stupid.
Take your time.
You can't teach stupid. I'm sorry. But let me say this. I'm going to write up some documents to make myself rich. Can you guys back me up on that one? If I write them up, will y'all back me up to make myself rich?
I don't even know where to go with it. He really passionately believes what he had to say. And like I said, I make it clear. I let my guests talk. I've seen the comments. I don't even think any MAGA folks really believe what he had to say. But he's been on the program a few times, and he says that I think he said something similar to that last time where Biden is not in control of the country and Trump is, and the second Declaration of Independence. I'm like, wow. Okay. All right.
Okay, so in lieu of what the guy was talking about earlier, when he talking about Russia, was saying that they have the copies of some of the documents. I'll have a different news channel.
Yes.
He was right. Russia did report it. Yes, he was right. I'm waiting for them to bring it up.
Where did you find that at?
I'm watching CBS, CNN Live from Canada.
And you're also, for you folks who haven't been watching the whole broadcast, apparently, and this caller is also agreeing with it, that apparently Russia is claiming that they have been reviewing the documents that were taken from Trump at Mar-a-Lago, meaning that those documents may have been compromised since being in the hands of President Trump. Wow.
But is it true?
What do we do? What do we do if that's true?
I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just saying, I'm just going by what's being reported on TV right now. Because I have different news. Huh?
No, I see somebody in the comments saying that Japan also had access to him.
So I know that Putin was at Mar-a-Lago when Trump was president. He was there. That Trump did meet Putin. So whether it's true or not, we don't know. We don't know if it's true or not.
So because they're charging him. We're not charging him, but they're investigating him rather to clear my term up. That they're investigating him from a standpoint of possibly violating espionage laws. But let me ask you this: you give it to me however you feel. Do you think this may have been something he done accidentally or intentionally? I mean, did he leave himself exposed like this just from pure ignorance? Or was he deliberately trying to do something nefarious with documents belonging to this country?
Trump is a businessman. He's going to do whatever best for Trump. He always have said, I'm a businessman. I'm not a politician. So a businessman going to do whatever best for them. Not for the country, but best for them.
Up to and including espionage?
There you go. You have it. You have a lot of people who go down with, hey, there you go.
This is an America First candidate. That's his primary phrase, America First. Not businessman first, America first.
Me first.
You're right.
Me first. He's a me first man, not America first. So think about it. How is all the MAGA people putting their freedom on the line, want to go to the FBI, take on the government, putting their freedom on the line for Trump? Everybody putting their freedom on the line. Every time somebody do that, I'm like, okay, that's one less vote for him. So every time somebody go to jail for Trump, I'm like, that's one less vote that the MAGA has just taken away from themselves. So they can keep go take on the FBI, go take on the police department, take on the National Guard. But every time you guys get locked up or lose your life, that's one less vote that he have lost.
That is, well, I'm laughing, but that actually is obviously true. If you're a Trump supporter and you can legally vote and you go out and get caught up in a felony defending some of Trump's statements, yeah, he's actually correct. That is one less vote. You know what? I believe NWA had a song talking about one less something you had to worry about. So I really, man. So is there any chance that this guy actually does face prosecution? I mean, there are folks who are suggesting, rumors, of course, nothing in stone, but there are folks who are suggesting that he may be arrested next week.
Okay,
Can you see that?
As an ex-police officer, if they bring forth all the evidence to the judge, and they say, "Well, this is what we have this to arrest him," the judge has a choice to say, "Okay, there's no form for arrest, but let's get a grand jury together and see if they get an indictment." That's how that's work.
But what about the idea that arresting Trump, because you got folks already calling for civil war, you got the feds already saying that they're seeing calls for violence and major amounts of threats being posted on social media sites, MAGA sites, and things like that. What about the idea that it might not be safe for the country to try to bring Trump to justice?
Okay, this is what I'm saying. It's not going to be a civil war with me. They're going to have a civil war with the FBI, the police department. And when they call in the National Guard, you can take on all those people you want to and say that's a civil war. Me, I'm going to be at home relaxing or be at my job relaxing while they out here fighting all of these police officers and military people in the law. You go fight the law and say that's a civil war. But every life that's lost, you can't say, well, the government did this to me. No, you chose to post what you want to post and say, well, the FBI is corrupt. The police department is corrupt. Now, everybody can be corrupt except Trump. Everybody's corrupt except him.
Well, I'm gonna give you two words, certainly as an African American, that you've probably heard. Victim mentality. Is that what we're looking at here?
He's always a victim. And what did that word call when someone say they're always a victim? They're a narcissist, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So all I'm saying is, but yeah, the classified document where they're declassified, classified, they were supposed to go to the National Archives. That's what President Obama did. He transferred them to Chicago to the National Archive Museum. That's what Bush did. All of this went in place after Watergate. That's why.
Let me give it to you from an extreme example. What about the idea that the FBI has been politicized so much that Trump did not actually do this, but rather someone planted this stuff on him just to have him charged and have him dismissed from running for office in 2024?
So let's take the MAGA side. They said a Democrat planned it, right? So is Trump going to let a Democratic person in his house?
What if it's a rhino? What if he doesn't know?
He better look within his own family. Look within your own family. Because you got business that your kids want. They want to get you out the way. His kids didn't take the fifth. He did. None of his family members took the fifth. Not
yet. I mean, because Donald, the daughter seems to be more moderate, but not Eric, but Donald Trump Jr. says a bunch of remember he spoke at the January 6th event as well. Donald Trump Jr., who knows, they may come after him ultimately. So they haven't taken a fifth yet.
No, Donald Trump Jr., I think when he was called for the January 6th committee, he just said everything that he knew. In which I commend him on that, because he could have said something totally different. But he didn't say anything different from what his sister said. He didn't say anything different from what his sister husband said. Nothing different. The only one who's speaking something different is Trump. So now you calling your kids a liar.
Well, when his daughter stated that she believed that he had lost the election, they did start saying that maybe she has no clue how elections are ran. So he has already began putting them under the bus to some degree. So but if this is the case, you're saying that we should actually prosecute a former president of the United States.
Yes. But keep in mind, he can still run for president in jail. He can still run. But and you're gonna have a lot of people that's gonna vote for him. He can still run in jail.
Well, no, not for what they're charging him for in regards to those documents in Mar-a-Lago. One of the provisions of that is that you cannot seek office again. It's one of the punishments.
Right. He cannot run again. But watch and see somebody try to find a loophole, but he said he can run again. Watch the Republican Party put it out on Fox News. Hey, he can run again. That's what they want to say on Fox News. He can run again. He can do this. He can do that. We can get our men back in office.
What about the idea that he does not intend to run again anyway? He's just raising money to potentially donate it to someone like DeSantis or another Republican candidate. Any chance that he's not going to, not because of the law, but is there any chance he's not going to run again anyway?
Me personally, I think he's 50. He's going to run again. I think it's 50-50. He probably think I shouldn't do it. Or maybe I should. I think it's 50-50. But if he does run again, he would get some of the MAGA votes, but not all of them. Depending on who he's running against. If it's it's the governor of Florida, he's running against him, and he's running against who else? Who else is out there he can run against?
From the Republican side of the aisle? Yeah. If I'm a liberal, so I probably shouldn't speak on it, but I love to anyway. I would probably say Nikki Haley or DeSantis, somebody like that. Mike Pompeo, they like a lot. But there is no competition to Trump. I don't know anyone on the Republican side of the aisle other than maybe DeSantis that could come close to generating the amount of enthusiasm from MAGA for a guy like Trump. The rest of it, because of the way he talks, he speaks, he acts, they love that shit. The stuff that we criticize, the tweets, the insults, none of the other folks are going to do that. So I don't, Ted Cruz was in the running, but he's not. These guys are not even close. They don't represent MAGA anywhere near like Trump does.
Ted Cruz, to me, he's just a jelly bag. He just go along with whatever's going on right now. Even with the January the 6th, he stood up and said, enough is enough. The next day he flipped like a corn. Ted Cruz.
He came in, I think at CPAC, he came in either third or fourth place, though, in regards to who the Republicans would want to run at the top of the ticket. Trump was first by a landslide, to use his word. DeSantis was second, and then I think it was Ted Cruz as third. Ted Cruz was in there. So it wasn't by a large margin that they would want Ted Cruz. They overwhelmingly chose Trump. But there were a significant amount of folks who chose DeSantis as well. But I believe Ted Cruz was third. Mike Pence was in there somewhere as well. And once again, Mike Pence, due to his not reversing the election in 2020, he's been damaged significantly within the Republican Party. So I don't think Mike Pence has a chance.
No, he don't have a chance. They're not going to they're going to get him near being president. But I want to say this before I leave. When people talk about Hillary did stand 11 hours on trial for a Republican.
Yeah,
so
sure did.
But also remember what, after Benghazi, President Obama stood up and said, Hillary works for me. That's what he said. Hillary works for me. So she's the Secretary of State. And if I didn't send the guys in for Benghazi, then that's on me. He took ownership of that. And
if you get the Republicans back in after the midterms, you may see something similar, because a lot of folks believe that if Republicans take control of the House and Senate, a lot of this stuff that's leaning towards holding Trump accountable will go away. So I get your point. I got to move it on as usual, though.
All right, gotcha. And nice talking to you.
Yeah. Once again, always a pleasure. Catch you later. Okay. Welcome back. Let me look in the comments real quick before we go back to the box. Well, since the Republicans defunded the military base over there, we are undermanned. Okay, Hillary kidnapped Haitian kids as the Haitian. JRB is Hillary Clinton kidnapped Haitian children? I've never heard that. Lindsey Graham and Chuck Grassley for 2024. Here's the problem with Lindsey Graham. I'm a liberal, so you would expect me to have some discourse, but that's fine. Lindsey Graham, just like a host of others, when you look at how they behaved the evening of January 6th, which is what my previous caller was just stating, is that some of these folks are what they refer to as fair weather friends. Lindsey Graham is an opportunist. He is down with MAGA as long as he can benefit from it. If something happens to President Trump, if Trump decides not to run for office, if Trump is prosecuted, Lindsey Graham will be one of the first people writing a tell-all book that will be negative towards the Trump administration. He is not MAGA. He is an opportunist. So I just want to let you have it that way. You guys can tell me if you disagree or you agree or whatever, but I look at how some of those Republicans behaved on the evening of January 6th, right after that event took place, and they were tearing Trump a new one. And then a couple days later, when they realized that Trump was going to survive the event, they came back home to MAGA. That is not a loyal individual. That is a person that is going to ride with you as long as the riding is good. Going back to the comments, straight white male. I love the name. Like I said, I love to create like that. I've always noticed that. Straight white male, welcome to the program. Good
evening. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What do you think? You've been listening in? What's on your mind?
Well, they're saying he stole the documents. So I look at, I guess you'd say semantics. I don't really know, but that's how the law works anyway. Trump landed and arrived in Florida at 11 a.m. Biden was signed into office or sworn into office at 12, correct? So he didn't really steal.
I don't know about the times. I can't speak on that. Let's just go with it. I don't know. I don't know that.
Right. Well, this is on NBCnews.com. And they posted it January 20th, 2021. Anyway, so he didn't steal the documents. He had them while he was still president, and he took them to his Mar-a-Lago house. He was still president. So he still had it. Now, they're saying that he declassified them before he got on the plane.
Right. But he has to show evidence of that. He can't just say he did that, right?
I mean, I'm sure he would have the evidence if he did it. You have to have the evidence. That's anything government. I was in the military. I'm telling you, anything government, you have to put it in black and white on paper, regardless of what you do. So I don't think he would just say it if he didn't do it. I mean, that would be stupid. That would be an automatic conviction.
Well, he did claim he didn't know who Stormy Daniels was. He doesn't know who David Duke. I mean, the idea that Trump has never said anything that's not true, you'd have to realize that's not correct. I mean, you've never heard him say anything that you found to not be valid?
Well, here's my thing. Well, I look at that, and they're saying he stole it. Well, that denies everything that they're saying about that. So he didn't steal it. So now apparently Biden reclassified them. That's what they're saying, quote unquote, secretly reclassified them. So
where have you heard that he reclassified these documents? What is your source for that?
That was, I believe it was Giuliani that said that on television. Said that Biden reclassified.
Well, you got to give me somebody other than Giuliani. You understand why, correct?
Well, let me see.
That's Trump's very own lawyer. So you got it. I mean, he doesn't get any more biased than that. You certainly got to get a different source than that.
Hold on. Let me see. Biden reclassify. There was others. I read it. I just don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. Because I have not heard, because if Biden, if what you're saying is true, whereas Biden did reclassify the documents, then obviously that would mean they were declassified by President Trump. So that would validate Trump's claim. But I need to hear that information, and it's got to come from a non-Rudolph Giuliani source. I mean, Rudolph Giuliani is beyond discredited. In fact, I believe he's dealing with his own judicial cases. So yeah, you can't go with Rudolph Giuliani.
Well, anyway, that's the story that I'm hearing. That Biden did reclassify them, which would make Trump, he shouldn't have them. So apparently Trump was cooperating with them, quote unquote, and they had told him to put a lock on the door. Well, if you look on the warrant, they got him for obstruction of justice, and apparently it was for that lock on the door that they told him to put on there.
Well, does he have evidence that they told him to put a lock on the door and he was doing what they told him to do. I mean, if they're going after him for destruction of evidence or for obstruction, he would have to show proof that what they're charging him with was actually done at the behest of them.
Well, that's coming from his lawyers, and if that's true, then they're in hot water.
Well, but his lawyers are going to say everything to defend him. That you understand that, right? I mean, you can't take what his lawyers are saying as fact. I mean, hell, according to OJ's lawyers, according to Johnny Cochran, OJ Simpson did not hurt Nicole Brown. But you can't take the word of somebody's lawyer.
Okay, I understand that, but a lot of people are saying it's true. How true it is, quote unquote, I don't know. But if it is true and they can prove it,
yeah,
I think they'll bring in Lynn Wood and he'll be suing the DOJ.
Yeah. My guess is, do you really think the DOJ under Merrick Garland would be so, I guess, I want to say dumb, but I'm trying to come up with a different word, but they would be that loose that they would charge him with something that he could easily prove that you told me to do this.
I can honestly say yes. In fact, I had an encounter like that with police myself. They've done some stupid crap, like try to.
But you're not president. You and I,
exactly.
They can make you and I can make, they can do crazy stuff to us because they don't expect us to have lawyers and be able to cross every T and dot every I. But if you go after a former president of the United States that has access to literally an infinite amount of attorneys, you're not going to get away with that. So you can't really put us on the same playing field.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, if things play out like I'm seeing them right now, I'm telling you, they're in deep water. Deep.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Yeah. You got to, well, I guess at the end of the day, I want to see what, just like I was telling the other gentleman in regards to the Russian claims that they've seen these documents. I want to see this stuff, but we always got to consider our source. I mean, to me, your humble correspondent, Rudy Giuliani is about as discredited as they can be.
Look at his whole presidency. You had 2 impeachments. Nothing ever came of it. And they always were wrong. Trump was, whatever reason, for semantics or whatever, he'd done it by the books. And just, I'm not saying it's right, but as long as he's doing it by the book, they can't touch him.
Well, we'll see. I mean, no denying that Trump himself has said a lot of things that are false as well. So even if you look at his, look at his presidency and point out that things were done to him that you disagree with, you'd also have to agree that he was being dishonest quite a bit as well. I mean, he said a bunch of things that are not true too.
Absolutely, but here's my problem. That, like, I wasn't even involved in politics. I didn't even care. I never voted, nothing. When I was at work one day, or I was at the house. I can't remember where I was, but I remember watching TV, and Trump was giving a speech while he was president, and they cut him off. And I was like, what the hell? They just shut down the president of the United States from giving a speech? Whether you
I get your point. Here's what I don't understand, though. When you're constantly criticizing the media, naming names and calling them the enemy of the state and things like that, you don't see where that could lead to them not covering them fairly. You don't think there should be any consequences for them doing that stuff consistently all the time? You don't see any consequences for that happening?
Any consequences for what?
When you're on television, constantly criticizing media figures, saying that they're an enemy of the people, saying, you don't think there should be no consequences to that?
If they're telling them stories and lies, and they're doing stuff that's not good, telling people that's not good, stuff that's not good for them, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so if you think that what he's saying about a media outlet is true and they're constantly telling lies, then why complain in the future when they don't cover you fairly? According to him, they're liars and they don't do things right anyway. So at that point, they're just living up to what you suggested, right?
Not necessarily. They might. I'm not going to say what they would or would not do. I can't say what people will do. I just call it like I see it when I see it. If I,
Yeah,
you know,
but I
but
understand you calling it like you see it, and that's fine. I'm just simply saying if you're saying that a media outlet is unfair to you, it makes no sense to then later on in the future say, well, why did they cut my speech off? You've already been saying they're unfair. So here's an
yeah, but
unfair action
he was
coming from an unfair
addressing
media outlet. They've lived up to what you said.
what I'm saying is he was addressing the nation, which is everybody. Whether you disagree or agree with what the man is saying, you don't cut off the president of the United States.
But you said they're unfair to the president of the United States
Yeah,
already. They're
absolutely.
doing what you said they would do.
Absolutely. I don't think they're unfair to him. I think they're unfair to the people by not allowing us to see what the man has to say, which would make them an enemy of the people.
Okay, so you do believe networks like CNN and MSNBC are an enemy of
Fox
the people?
and Fox and all of them. I believe they all one-sided and they all trying to push some agenda.
Do you believe we have a fair news network in this country? Any?
No. No, I think that they should be Republicans and Democrats sitting there on television. Even the freaking politicians themselves don't
What
bring on
part? Real quick, just
like you'll
real
see.
quick.
What I'm
What
saying is,
part of the country are you from? I'm just some folks in the comments. What part of the country are you from?
I'm from Alabama, but I'm in Iowa.
Alabama.
So
You're in where?
I'm in Iowa working.
Iowa. Okay, Iowa. All right. So you don't believe there's any fair news media outlet in America?
No, I I go to somebody like you. I go all over on the TikTok.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you here. But that's interesting. So Trump actually often calls into Fox News. He never calls into CNN or MSNBC. Why do you think he does that?
I can't question or understand his prerogative, what he's doing, but yeah, he's biased too. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
Okay, all right. Fair point. Listen, I got to move it on, man. Appreciate you coming through. We welcome back anytime. All right. Great. Just wanted to let you guys hear. Let the man get his point across. That's where his friends work, says Lynn Cheney. And that is my sentiment exactly. I mean, whether it's Jesse Waters flying around on Air Force One, Kimberly Guilfoyle went right from a Fox News commentator to being part of the Trump family. There is a lot of deep association between Trump as a name, the Trump family, the Trump administration, and Fox News. You got folks going either from the program to the Trump family and administration, or from the Trump administration or the Trump family, by the way, because I believe his daughter-in-law now is a Fox News commentator. So when folks talk about CNN and MSNBC being in the tank for the liberals, Fox News has a connection to the Trump administration, the Trump family, and the Republican Party that's far tighter than that. I mean, like I said, Kimberly Guilfoyle left the Fox News network and married into the Trump family. And now you got Trump's daughter-in-law actually working for the Fox News network. You don't have that at CNN with Obama or with Joe Biden. Ginger Bearded Texan, friend of the program, and I see I own this shit. Let's make it happen. Start out with Ginger Bearded Texan. Welcome back to the program, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, brother, what's going on?
None. It's a pleasure talking to you. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm gonna answer your last question first. I think 24-hour news has biased everything. They got to fill
in favor of what though?
Well, they got to fill their news with something. They got to attract somebody to, from one side or the other. There's no such thing as zero bias, because if there's zero bias, we thrive on conflict. Right? As a general rule, we will thrive on conflict.
I agree with that. I try to run it as much as, even though my name states my political leanings, I try to be in the middle as much as I can. But my name alone probably, I know it turns off a lot of MAGA because I know the analytics of TikTok from my videos and my folks who view my programs sends me over to folks on the right, and I know a lot of them see my name and immediately run from the program. But I try to be that way. It is difficult in this day and age to have a media source that is unbiased.
But if you're making millions of dollars off of this, Tim, you're going to go where the money is. I mean, well, I don't know about you. I'm not going to pick on you because I don't know your morals and your values. Okay, but I do know that money can corrupt.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, generally, if you're telling the news, you're going to want the ratings. If you want to tell what's going on in our world, you want people to hear what you have to say. And if you're getting the ratings, you're getting the money. If you're not getting the ratings, then nobody's listening, and it's not even worthwhile. So I could definitely agree with you that money is going to have an ultimate effect.
Yeah. So hey, I wanted to talk back about a couple of things that I've heard. I've been sitting here for, I don't know, an hour and a half or more.
I appreciate you being here.
The man, I enjoy hearing you. I enjoy the intelligent dialogue. Now there was a couple callers ago where I was just
live with that.
This whole second Declaration of Independence. Come on, man! I'm on the right, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" Woo-hoo!
Yeah. Well, what about the idea that Biden is not even running the country?
I think he's running some things, but I think that his staff is running screen on some things, right? I mean, I'm sure that he made the call, let's say, to take out what's his name?
The Bin Laden associate.
Yeah, the Bin Laden replacement, right? He made the call. He's commander in chief. He made the call.
Right.
I have a hard time believing that he did not know that there was going to be a raid on Mar-a-Lago. Okay, but I think that the administration has to distance themselves from it because of the whole talk and threat of civil war or civil disobedience, right? And the trying to keep the country together because we are so divided.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do tend to agree with you. It is very difficult to imagine President Biden not being aware that his predecessor was going to be raided. I don't buy that. I don't buy
it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't buy that either.
But I mean, I saw the Washington Post that said that there may be nuclear secrets, but it was an anonymous source, and just looking back at history, and I'm not going to defend President Trump too terribly much, but at the same time, we have been through Russian collusion, right? Through the Alpha Bank to, from Trump Tower to Alpha Bank to the Russian government. We've been through this dossier, right? That is now known to be false. We went through a Mueller report that said basically this is a nothing burger. And wait
a minute. He did not say that. I'm with you on the other step, but Robert Mueller stated that he couldn't quite prove that Trump was guilty, but he made it clear to say, I can't prove that he's innocent either. I mean, he made it clear. So,
but in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. So it's a nothing burger. That is right. I mean, you and me, you would expect that, if you or me are arrested, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that we have committed a crime. Okay, in order, that is the statute, at least from a criminal standpoint.
Well, right? Yeah, I agree with you, but we could say, I mean, basically what you're running off, when you run off all the things that he beat, it almost sounds like what is his name? Al Capone. He beat a lot of stuff before they ultimately got him on tax evasion. I believe what is the other guy? John Gotti is another one that was known for beating. I mean, so the history of Trump is still more to be told. There's a lot more cases in front of him.
It may be sketchy and it may be distasteful, but is it provable? That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Right.
That is that is the basis of what our legal system is predicated on, and we can't make it be different. We have to apply justice equally. So if when we talk about, okay, so let's say Trump had confidential information. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Did he know it? Did he knowingly have it? Did he pack those boxes? Has he been through any of those? I don't know. I can't say. Okay?
But what about the phrase ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking it?
Okay, I will say that that's fair. But again, I'm going to go back to equal justice under the law. And James Comey.
Has that ever happened in this country? Have we ever been?
Go ahead.
Ignore the fact that you're talking to a black guy, but I'm asking, have we ever exercised equal justice?
Man, that's it. So
right, exactly. But have we ever exercised equal justice in this country?
Have we? Yeah. No. Should we?
All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just saying that is what you're calling for has never been practiced. I get that we should, but it's never been practiced.
Well, I will say it's very, very, very rare. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I talked about the 1994 crime bill before, right? And it was not practiced equally.
No, right? It was not.
We talked about MAGA and what that means to a person of color versus a person that, make America great again. And where was it ever great for a person of color?
Yeah, it's downright scary.
Tell me that. Okay. Yeah. You educated me on that, and I stayed open-minded, and you've been open-minded with me. So, but let me ask you this. Hillary Clinton, James Comey said there was confidential information on that server that she was running out of her house or out of her bathroom, right? There was protected confidential information when she was Secretary of State. But no prosecutor is going to want to bring charges and prosecute it. Okay. So why is it good for one and not for another? We don't know. I see a lot of people saying nuclear. There is no.
What about that though? Does that make a difference? The fact that the documents they're saying he had were nuclear information?
They who? It's an anonymous source. We've had anonymous sources so many times before. The reality is we don't know. So why are we jumping to conclusions today? And we're already hanging this man, as opposed to let's find out what the reality is. And no, Hillary is not the president. She was the Secretary of State at that time. So she had that information. Just to talk to some of the to some of the comments that are going on through here. It's not it's not the fact of the president. It's the fact of it is somebody that has the access to top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information that is relevant to the to our nation, to our country, that could destroy us.
Well, when it comes to Hillary Clinton, though, didn't we do exactly what you're suggesting? We tried to put her under the bus before proving her guilty. I mean, you're saying innocent until proven guilty. When you listen to the Republicans talk, weren't they doing exactly that to Hillary Clinton, throwing her under the bus before due process?
James Comey said there was confidential information or protected information.
But James Comey alone is not judged and jury. I mean, he didn't prove it in a court of law. He just said that.
He refused to refer it to the Department of Justice because he said no prosecutor is going to want to pursue it. So that does become sketchy at that point when you hear that.
I agree. It sounds sketchy, but then again, what's going on with Trump sounds sketchy. But that's sketchy alone is not enough to go with.
Right, but that's what the investigation is still ongoing. So when we're saying, first of all, the warrant never said anything about nuclear, and we have not seen the affidavit because the affidavit won't come out unless there's an indictment. So that's just a reality. The affidavit will not come out without an indictment of Mr. Trump. So am I getting you in trouble with your wife?
Say that again.
Am I getting you in trouble with the other half, the better half?
No, I was doing something for my daughter, but I heard what you said. But I don't know. I'm looking at it like this. Do you think that all of these entities are just going after Trump just for the sake of not liking him? You don't think there's anything there, whether it's January 6 hearings, New York, Georgia, Arizona, now you got Merrick Garland. You think all this stuff is just made up?
Let me ask you from the other side. Don't you think that it's sketchy that all these things that have been brought forward in the last, 7 years, 6, 7 years, and that nothing has been able to be proven about the man? Wouldn't you say that's just a little bit sketchy?
That's a good question. My answer to some of that stuff is, and you can tell me where you disagree, but a lot of that did not come to fruition because there was a Republican, I believe, Senate at the time, and they squashed a lot of it. You can't have an investigation come to a total conclusion when everybody is simple. I don't want to hear what you got to say. It would almost be like America.
You're right. Mitch McConnell
it would be like it would be like America during the 1950s. In regards to a lot of hang on a second, let's go to brought our damn phone down here.
They want to know
it
about
would
your
almost
car
be
warranty.
like when it would be like when it came to African Americans back in the day. A lot of the trials, they weren't going to go anywhere from the start because a jury already had their minds made up. We're not going to convict this person of harming a black person. When it came to Trump, the Republican Senate, just like with January 6th, they made it clear from day one, we're not going to hold this guy accountable no matter what you come up with. So in regards to the two impeachments on Trump, I don't know if I could just rule those out as Trump being innocent because I think the Republicans made it clear when it came to the impeachments, they were going to be in favor of Trump no matter what was coming out of that.
But he wasn't shown and proven to be guilty. He wasn't found to be guilty. And unfortunately, that is still the way that our law is written.
Yeah.
And we can agree to disagree on that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I would say that some of the information might have been, or some of the evidence might have been spot on. Some of the information was sketchy.
All right.
But
I agree with you that he was found not guilty and all of that stuff. I just was simply saying I disagree that it was a witch hunt. If you can, if things are skewed in your favor, and there's no denying that if you're being impeached and you have a Republican Senate or a Democratic Senate for a Democrat that might be impeached, it's not necessarily going to be fair. If Hillary Clinton had one president and the same thing happened where it was a Democratic Senate and they said there's nothing there, you guys will be saying the same thing. It's not a fair hearing. Regardless if Trump was, even if Trump is 100% innocent, I'm just simply saying the way it was handled was not fair.
Why would you take a sitting president? Well, okay, looking at the polls, and he hadn't been reelected. Okay, why would you bother with trying to push through a second impeachment so close to the election? What would be the point of that?
Oh, that's politics. That's politics. The same thing with
politics.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but that happens. Like when it was time for Obama to appoint a Supreme Court justice, and they said, "Well, the election's coming up," and they prevented it. Then all of a sudden, when it was time for Trump to appoint a third Supreme Court justice, and the election was even closer, they somehow found a way to make it happen. I'm willing to admit that folks do play politics. I don't deny that. And by the way, that Supreme Court justice that they wouldn't let Obama appoint is the one that's now trying to hang Trump out to dry. I'll give you the last word, Ginger. I got to move it on, though.
You know what? I got no last word. It's always good to talk to you, brother. And, I don't think we solved the world's problems today, but, you open my eyes, I open your eyes, and, we keep having dialogue, right?
Much love. Yep. Keep the back channels open, man. Anytime, come on back through. Have a good one.
You too.
You too. All right, look at this. Because of the seriousness of the change, I don't know who paid still for the dossier. Oh, it was Hillary. Tim Proctor. I don't know if there's any valid evidence of that. Caller, love your life and continue to pay your bills. JJ. Okay, let me go on back to the comments. Mike, man, you sharp. I appreciate that. I own weird shit. That is the name of this caller. I like the unique names. For some reason, it did not allow me to bring on I own weird shit. I don't get why it went out. But we'll go right to Hardhead. Get some unique names. The country wasn't so immensely divided until Trump became president. Hardhead, hang on a second. Folks in the box, better yet, folks watching the program, how do you feel about that comment? Loomis stated, the country was not so immensely divided until Trump became president. Agree or disagree? I understand a lot of folks suggest that Obama or George W. Bush, but do you believe President Trump, at least in most of our lifetimes, is responsible for how strongly divided this country currently is? Yes or no? Yes or no? Maybe you believe it was Obama or George W. Bush or somebody else, but or even Biden. Biden is currently the commander in chief, but stating that the country was not so immensely divided until Trump became president. Hardhead, good afternoon.
Good evening. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
You run a good ship over there. I like the way you do it.
They trying to sink it. They trying to sink it. Go ahead.
This country has always been divided. It's just that Donald Trump give certain people permission to come out the door. It's like, you ever turn the lights on and you find that you got more roaches than you thought?
I grew up in the house with him. I get it. So you're talking about the FBI stating during Trump's administration, they actually said this, I believe in 2017, that white supremacy was becoming the largest existential threat in this country, domestic terror. You're saying that President Trump and his language, his rhetoric, whatever you want to phrase it as, is responsible for that to some degree. Am I correct?
He gave him permission.
Yeah.
His language gave him permission to be who they already was. Because ever since and people say like this, Abraham Lincoln set the slaves free. He didn't. What he did, he signed a paper. The Emancipation Proclamation was just to let us go. And when we had no place to go, they put out what they call the vagrancy laws.
Yep, they found other ways to do it. I'm aware of that.
So if America have never been a balancing act. It have always been one-sided.
Yeah. So,
and I don't understand why people now is just with like they're trying to keep saying Trump is innocent. They come up with 1,000 excuses, and the truth is right there. Why would he bring, if you add the 21 and the 15, how much is that? That's like 30, 36, 37 boxes of classified. I could see maybe accidentally pick a box up where you get it mixed up with the dishes. You know, you accidentally, instead of the bathroom, you catch the stuff that go in the kitchen. But all those boxes of classified information, that's his retirement benefits. Of all the salary he would not.
Whoa. So, wait a minute. You just said those boxes he brought home was his retirement benefits. So you're suggesting that he was going to try to turn that information into money.
He already had been.
You know what you're alleging, right? I mean, this is an America First candidate. You're alleging that the espionage charge or allegation is legitimate. You're accusing the guy of espionage. Is that correct?
The America First is that he's going to sell America first, and everybody else that comes up behind, every other country could, then they fall in line. But he's selling America first. That's the first one he got his hands on, America. Between him and Putin.
More like selling out America first.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, America's up for sale with Donald Trump. Him and Putin made a plan. I believe him and Putin.
Let me ask you this, because I mean, I do believe if you're found guilty of a crime of that nature, you can literally be executed. What if they can pin a guilty tag on the former President Trump? What would you suggest? He'll be late 70s by then, because this would not be something overnight. But what do you do to a guy at that level if you can convict him of that?
Well, nothing is going to happen, because what we are actually looking at is privilege at its most highest. Money.
Well, yeah.
And what's his name? The comedian who passed. He used to write for Richard Pryor.
Mooney? Paul Mooney?
No. Yeah, Paul Mooney used to say he got the complexion for the protection. So they're not going to do him anything.
So your take is that if Obama had been found with the same documents in his home, the treatment would have been different.
What about the tan suit? They wanted to fry him for a different color suit. So
they did.
with that
Yeah,
stuff
there is. Yeah. I don't know what the hell made them. I mean, when it comes to Obama, where there's so little to complain about that they actually did start complaining about the color of the suit he was wearing. And then you go back in history and you can see President Reagan and Carter wearing tan suits all the time. I don't know why they did that, but you do believe he would have been treated differently under these circumstances. You don't think he would have survived 2 impeachments?
Mitch McConnell kept a Supreme Court appointee from him. I mean, to his face, he told him it wasn't going to happen. No respect.
Yeah.
But they cry, they fall out. You can't even blow wind at Donald Trump, and they're gonna say you're wrong. I mean, just like the truth is.
If you think he has all of this privilege, should we look forward to seeing him in 2024? I mean, based on your take, if he's that privileged, then he'll probably be reelected. Is that something we should look forward to? Do you believe that's going to happen?
No, he's not going to run again. He's going to come up with some excuse, his health or his family, or just he can't take the pressure anymore, and he's going to take all that money that he have gripped and disappear.
Wait a minute. Somebody like President Trump, twice impeached, constantly being attacked by the media. I can't take the pressure anymore. You really think those words would come out of Trump's mouth?
Yep. And he's for some reason is stressed and he's tired, and he gonna come out and people gonna fall out because he decided not to run. They're gonna blame everybody for messing with Donald Trump, and the victim mentality gonna be real high. He got away with this stuff the first time. He's not gonna get back in the grease again. He's badly getting away with what he's doing now, and once he gets scot clear, he's not coming back to the poll no more. He's not playing in that game anymore. You're going to find some kind of way to sit on a bench and watch everybody else, just kind of, and they go, they can't get him.
I don't know. So you feel fairly confident that we won't be voting whether Trump wins or loses in 2024. He won't be on the ballot.
No, he won't be on the ballot. If circumstance don't get him, he gonna buy out himself. I'm 64 years old. I've been around. I voted for Jimmy Carter, so I've been around for a while. I've watched politics play out for a long time, and Trump done got away with enough stuff. He's not gonna put himself back in a position to be jeopardized or harmed again.
Something. I dare say that I probably have a very similar mindset. I do believe that either one of these daggers, for lack of a better term, one of these daggers is going to strike Trump, or that he is going to do something similar to what you said. I don't personally believe he's going to be on the ballot in 2024 either. I just believe at this point, there is too much coming at him because this whole Merrick Garland thing now is very new. I mean, there's still the January 6th hearings that are going to resume in September. Now we got Merrick Garland in the middle of this. And then there's New York, Georgia, and Arizona also dealing with cases on him. There is so much orbiting around him that I would suggest to my MAGA audience, my beloved MAGA viewers, what type of presidency, even if he won, would he have? One of the biggest complaints you guys say now is that he could not get anything done because he was facing trouble since day one, impeachments and all of that. Obviously, if he wins in 2024, we already know he's facing that stuff now because most of this stuff will not be concluded. So I don't understand how anybody could think that if he were to win again, he could maintain any sort of a successful presidency with so many side cases going on. But I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word, man.
You ever hear they're selling something now called a Trump box, $49.99? So any kind of way he can get money out of people, he's getting. And he's going to do, I'm going to tell you like this. You remember Steve Miller?
Yep.
Fly like an eagle. Remember he made a record called Go and Take the Money and Run?
Yep. I do
He's
remember
getting
that.
ready. He's not running for president again. When he get out of this, he's done. As soon as he can get some of this stuff off his back, he's done. But hey, it's good talking with you. Love you, sure, man. And what you do, you give people an opportunity to share. A lot of creators, time you say something that's contrary to what they believe, they block you or cut you off, and it's like there's no open dialogue because it's just a one-sided show. So keep it real like you do, brother. Love you much, man.
All right, always a pleasure. Yeah, you'll never be blocked here for what you have to say. I always appreciate dialogue, whether it's critical or complimentary. Come on back anytime, Hardhead. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All
Thank you,
right,
sir.
catch you later. Listen, folks, I do got to step away for a minute. We got some family things, but I appreciate you guys coming through. At the end of the day, that is what we're going to be asking. I probably might be on later again, rapping with the folks, but I'm just curious, what are we dealing with? Are we dealing with a spy? Or are we dealing with somebody who did everything right, crossed all his T's, dotted all his I's, and the feds are just messing with him for the sake of hatred? That's what we're talking about. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. I'll catch you guys on the next one.